All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell. Here inside the Starcade Media Studios, I'm your host, Lance Twidwell. Here inside the Starcade Media Studios, as I said, because we are so excited to be here with you and for you to be with us. I'm with my guy, Trevor Twidwell, this morning.
What's good, everybody?
We are so excited to be here, guys. We've had a funny start to the morning. I swear it's been like a comedy of errors. This is how it goes in the offseason. Hopefully we can tidy this up during the regular season because we feel like we kind of use the preseason time, the offseason time, kind of like the team does, where they have a training camp. This is our training camp, even though we're 278 episodes into this thing. We're still learning as we go. I think if you hit the mute on that, Trevor, you can actually take that off there. If you hit the mute on the laptop. But anyway, we're so happy to be here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We have a lot to get to today. We're really stoked because we are finally in the time where we have an opportunity to talk about where the team is going to go from here. We know that they've been training. We know they've been practicing. We know there's been a lot going on the team. We know that there's guys that are fighting tooth and nail to make this roster. There are guys that are fringe players that a lot of people are holding so loyally to that we could talk about in a little bit that may not have a real place on this team if they don't get back to practice. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to get to you guys. We tell you the top of every single show. We tell you the bottom of every single show. If you've not already done it, go to youtube.com, hit the Spoken Podcast, hit like, share, notify, subscribe, all that stuff. We would very much appreciate it. But get in the chat today because that is definitely what we want to do is talk to you guys. Let us have the opportunity to hear from you. Let us have an opportunity to hear what you guys want to talk about on your side of things, whether it's the exact same stuff that Trevor and I want to talk about or it's completely different. It does not matter. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you guys have to say because that is what the Spoken is all about. And yes, holy shit, I'm looking at myself right now and I am very much red. I can imagine that I look like I'm politically affiliated with somebody right now. I promise that's not the case. But we're gonna strive and continue to have fun today, regardless of what I look like, whether I'm blue, whether I'm green, whether I'm red. We're here and we're happy, and I promise you we're gonna have a fun show today, guys. So with that said, Trevor, how the hell was your week this week, man?
Not the best. It's been really hot. Work's been really busy. Other than that, I mean, it's I got poison ivy on my legs. I have a stiff neck from something I think I pulled while I was at the gym. So it's been a long week, bro. But I'm pumped for the season right around the corner. We had the Hall of Fame game, which was decent. We had our first little teaser of some actual football back. But yeah, man, I'm ready for the real thing. Looking forward to these cuts and these guys seeing who makes the roster and so on and so forth. But other than that, man, it's been a rough week for me. I'm ready to put it behind me if I'm being honest with you.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, we're in the same place. I mean, Trevor and I aren't the biggest fans of summertime, and it's mostly because of the fact that we die out there in the summertime. We're two pale-faced men, and we're ready to have some fall experiences for obvious reasons because we know that also brings the football side of things, which is why we know you guys are here, which is why we know you guys want to talk about things. And I think that, Trevor, if it's all right with you, man, I think without further ado, we should go ahead and have our opening segment, which is called Lance Rants. So we talked about, last week we opened up the show with, giving thanks to the good old Raiders, the team that Patrick Mahomes likes to dominate more than anybody. We know this is the team that, Patrick Mahomes has had the most dominance against. And we know this is the team that I believe Patrick Mahomes is going to continue to have a lot of dominance against, and they like to poke the bear for whatever reason. And we found that to be hilarious. We found that to be cute. Found it to be adorable. More than anything, we found it to be motivational. And I know that Patrick Mahomes feels the same exact way, which is why we wanted to give thanks last week, start the show off by giving thanks last week for doing what they did at training camp this last week. Thought it was adorable. Thought it was hilarious. We also thought it was very irrelevant to talk about it beyond last week, which is why we are where we're at now. But here we are this week, and we're going to do the same thing all over again. Only this time, it's the NFL Top 100 list. Now, we know this just came out, finished this week, and we know that now 1 through 100 is officially out there. We know who is and who isn't in the top 100. There's controversy across the board. I think that's also intentional. I think they do a lot of these things to get people to talk about it. How do I know that? Somehow, some way, Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't essentially played any football for 2 years, managed to be 92 overall of the top 100 players. Now, Aaron Rodgers, when healthy, is without question one of the 100 best players in the league, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't played real football in almost 2 full seasons. So there's no reason in the world for him to be on this list. It's absolutely absurd, especially when you have guys like Creed Humphrey who didn't make this list, who's the best center in football. You're going to tell me right now Creed Humphrey is one of the 100 best players in the NFL? Give me a break.
That's crazy.
The joke of it all, though, the biggest joke of it all by far, is where Patrick Mahomes ended up. Trevor, go ahead and show the people where he ranked on this list. Would you look at it?
Wild. Patrick
Mahomes finds himself back in the 4-hole. Now, in baseball, and Patrick Mahomes is a big baseball guy, being the 4 spot on a lineup is actually great because that means you're the power hitter, it means you're the cleanup, that means that you're the guy that they rely on to clear the bases and hit clutch hits. This isn't that. This is a football list. This is them telling us they believe that Patrick Mahomes is the 4th best player in the league. But see, it gets funnier. Because, and we don't have this picture here, but Patrick Mahomes is not only the 4th, they don't only have him as the 4th best player on this list, they have him as the 2nd best quarterback. That's right. Lamar Jackson came in at number 2. The same Lamar Jackson who shit his pants in the AFC Championship, and Patrick Mahomes took his cookies from him and advanced to his 5th Super Bowl. Sorry, his 4th Super Bowl in Baltimore. Christian McCaffrey was number 3. And Christian McCaffrey, just like Lamar Jackson, 2 spectacular players. Without question, top 10 players in the league, in my opinion. Christian McCaffrey, who took an L to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, who won the Super Bowl MVP. Still above him. And the number 1 player is the guy that literally cost the Dolphins the game in Germany, ironically, to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill. And this is not a bass session on any of those 3 players. These are contextual facts. And although Tyreek Hill, phenomenal receiver, maybe the most spectacular weapon we've ever seen in the history of this league, even with that said, to sit here and tell me that these people believe these 3 players are better than the guy that has won back-to-back Super Bowls and back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs is something that is nothing short of embarrassing. And let's be real, this list is a joke. Even if Patrick Mahomes finished number 1, we know these players base a lot of this stuff off bias. And we know this is voted on by the players. And you heard Jamar Chase himself say, I ain't saying his name, when they said who should be the number 1 player. So you know that a lot of these guys are probably voting against Patrick Mahomes because they're sick of him spanking that ass.
Yeah.
I mean, again, imagine being ranked the number 1 player in the NFL Top 100, and in the very next season, win the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP, and fall down 3 spots on that same damn list. They want scorched earth Mahomes. They want it clearly. And that's exactly what they're about to get. And I love it that this is happening right as Patrick Mahomes is about to embark on the biggest and greatest challenge of his entire career. The three-peat. This could not have happened at a more perfect time. Because as you guys remember, and Trevor, we're going to play this video here. The last time Patrick Mahomes was knocked off the number one spot on the NFL Top 100, all of this took place that very following season.
And the 2022 AP Most Valuable Player is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, right now it favors that, but you still got a chance to clock it. Take your time and take the shot down. Here's Mahomes rolling out on 3rd and 4. He's going to go for the, yes, he's got the marker. He's got the out of bounds to stop it. And 𝚂𝙿 was hurt as he hit the bench. And a flag's coming in to put him 15 yards closer. Oh my gosh, the only time he had to use the legs fully, he turned on and he put it on himself, and that's going to put them in position to get...
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 58.
And that 15 yards
from the end of the play
is going to take this all the way into an inside of about 40-yard field goal attempt. Now they've moved the spot back an additional 5 yards, so 8 seconds left and a 45-yard attempt by Harrison Butker. Here's Butker for 45 yards. All the way, it's good. Cincinnati with an unbelievable season, 10 straight wins. Mahomes in trouble, gets away. Mahomes racing with the bad ankle and all. Inside the 20, and he's taken down. Somehow, Patrick Mahomes. Butker up, got it.
Trevor, that was better than sex, man. If we can go back and smoke those Drew Estate Java cigars again after that one, we do it.
They hit a little different, man.
Oh,
that high is a little, that buzz is a little nicer those times.
It always feels so lovely every time we get to relive and encapsulate that experience, because that's something, and we've experienced now 3 times. So I don't want to make it sound like we're getting used to it here, because I never get used to it. This is something that I take very seriously, and I enjoy every single time. I told Trevor this. I tell all the people we talk to that no matter how many times this happens, I'm going to treat every single one like it's the only one we're ever going to get, because that's how special this shit is. But we should be thankful now. And because, again, guys, we know this is wrong. We know that this list is horseshit. We know that Patrick Mahomes is clearly the best player in the NFL. We know he's clearly the best quarterback in the NFL. So we know there's some intent behind this. What I don't think this list understands, because even like Mina Kimes, I wish I had taken that screen grab, that tweet she said, saying, may God have mercy on us all, when she saw this. Like, so many writers, so many people in the sports were like, oh, shit. Because, again, this is coming at the worst time imaginable. Patrick Mahomes just got done saying what, Trevor, at training camp? That last season wasn't fun. I wasn't having fun last season. We won, and we're happy. We're grateful. You know, a lot of hard work. We got it done. Things of that nature. A lot of things went our way. But I was not having fun playing football last season. That's big for Patrick. Patrick loves having fun. He wants to show off. He wants to flex his muscles. He wants to do his thing. And he didn't get to do that very often last season. And then you topple it off with the NFL telling him, we don't think you're even the best quarterback in this league. We don't think you're even the best quarterback in your conference. We think Lamar Jackson is the better quarterback. And I saw people talking about, well, this wasn't his best statistical season. He didn't have a great season. Guys, goddamn it. Did you watch the games? Because I'm telling you right now, if you watched Patrick Mahomes last season, he was as magical as he's ever been. The problem was he had guys that had paper towels for hands. That was the difference. Between what you just saw in that clip against the Bengals and the Eagles and what you saw last season, is he had reliability at receiver in 2022 and did not have that. In fact, the exact opposite. It took Their only receiver that was even good last season took him 2 whole months to even become a reliable asset in this offense, and that's not his fault. He's a rookie, Rashee Rice. The only reliable wide receiver Patrick Mahomes had. He had Travis Kelce missed the first week of the season. Travis Kelce was banged up all year long, still prevailed. Chris Jones had the whole weird contract dispute with the Chiefs, missed the first game of the season. A lot of weird stuff was going on. Charles Minshew missed the first 6-7 weeks. Injuries to random players that they needed. Offensive line was shaky at times. Chiefs go 11-6 to win the Super Bowl. And now you're giving Patrick Mahomes that much more of a chip on his shoulder? He already has this team he's 10-2 against in his own division, where he puts up his best numbers against anybody else. He's already got them talking shit this year. Already got them saying that they had a blueprint. You know, Antonio Pierce saying that earlier this year. Got dipshits in both the fan base and on the team that are 7th-round picks challenging him, calling him a bitch. He's got that now. And now he's got the whole league letting him know. So what? 3 MVPs, two regular season MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 28 years old. Who gives a shit? Okay. Thank you. I could not be happier, Trevor, about this offseason. I literally couldn't be. I know the roster, the Chiefs wide receiver room. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And trust me, we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
I know this team might have its own questions. But there's no question now whether this team is going to have all the motivation it needed to get right back in the mind frame of, we are going to win another Super Bowl this year. Because we assume these teams, Trevor, every team goes out there with that mindset, right? But sometimes teams get lethargic. Sometimes teams, that have Super Bowl hopes and Super Bowl prowess, Super Bowl potential, lose it because they lose the focus of what gets them there, right? Because the Chiefs, if they didn't have that absolute focus last year, they don't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they weren't good enough, dude. Like, they didn't have a good enough offense. In most regards, the Chiefs should not have won the Super Bowl last year. But they maintained focus. Patrick Mahomes maintained focus, maintained leadership, and the defense continued to play the way they did, and they got it done.
Well, on top of that, too, I think if last season would have been the first time we were looking to try to win a championship, we probably wouldn't have. I think the experience and the know-how and the ability, especially for Kelce's sake, his ability to flip that switch and really become that iconic player for this offense, he's been there, right?
Right.
And these teams, only one team can win it every year, and these teams continually try to, like you said, always have those aspirations to win the Super Bowl every year. But you got to get it done, man. And once you get it done, then you start building that the internal fortitude and know how to do it and know how to find that next gear. And a lot of teams don't do it until they actually do it. But I mean, nobody has more of that, obviously, in this current age of football right now than the Chiefs do. So.
Yeah, and that's what I want. That's why I wanted to bring this up first and foremost. And I want to get your guys' thoughts as well. If there's any takes on the in the chat, I apologize, guys. I've been so bad on the chat this morning. I want to give a shout out to Dustin Orton for jumping in.
I've been putting their chats in the stream.
Thank you, Julia Gulia. Always loyal people. Obviously, we got the regulars in town. Ruben DeCruz. Everybody. Tony Russell. Thanks for coming in, bro.
Yep.
I appreciate you. Everybody that's in the chat right now, keep dropping your takes, keep dropping your questions. We'll get to all your questions and speak it, I promise you. So keep those in the holster. Ask those questions now if you want to. Trevor will star those up. But takes, keep the takes coming, guys, because I know this was something you guys all cared about last night as well. I'm sitting here. Trevor and I were talking last night. Trevor was shocked about it as well. Just the fact, and Trevor pointed it out to me that I didn't even think about it. I just saw number 4, and I started cracking up. Trevor was like, dude, that Lamar Jackson's ahead of him. And I didn't even think about it. Quarterback. They don't even have him as the best quarterback. And that's the part that got the most offensive to me, was them saying he's not even the best. It reminded me of Dan Orlovsky when he said 2 years ago that Patrick Mahomes is the best football player.
Yeah, it's just like
but Joe Burrow's the best quarterback.
Yeah, it's like the MJ LeBron shit.
Yeah, it just
LeBron's the best overall player, but MJ is the best.
Yeah, but he's the GOAT. It's like,
it's like what? What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either, dude. So we feel motivated here. Like, I was so ready to talk about this. I was so ready to have this conversation. I'm so ready to see football now more than ever, because I know that this team's going to come out here with a fire, with a vengeance, because now they get to prove it to everybody that they are who they say they are. They've been proving this now for 5-6 years, and it's still not enough. I don't think that the media, I don't think these other teams, I don't think these other players understand just what exactly they're inflaming. I really don't think, and I know this sounds hilarious because we're fans here, Trevor, we're Chiefs fans, so of course we're going to take everything personal.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm not even upset about it.
I mean, it's a mistake.
I'm happy about it.
It's a mistake in two different ways. It's a mistake because one is flat out wrong, and two, it's a mistake amongst the players and whoever made these votes. That they're just going to give a guy who has no real reason to have a chip on his shoulder.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
It's like you're giving the guy ammunition already.
You want to keep your opposition asleep at the wheel. You want them. Oh, Patrick Mahomes is so great. Keep giving him the number 1 overall. Like Jamar Chase, that's how he should handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's won 3 Super Bowls, 3 MVPs. Who else should get number 1? You know, like he should have been handling it like that. The Raiders see a dumbass bring a Kermit frog to the freaking camp. Should have ignored that dude. Like everyone should have. No, everybody should have.
They should have pulled that from any airwaves, any internet part where that was surfacing.
Yeah.
Like
giving people that are poking the bear any clout is only going to hurt the ones that Patrick Mahomes comes against.
And listen, Patrick Mahomes is not above that. Patrick's petty as fuck, dude. Like, what have we not? What we haven't learned this lesson yet? Like, this Pat is not above this stuff yet. Maybe when he's 35 in his latter years of his career, or something like that. Yeah, but right now, Patrick is not above that kind of stuff. Like Patrick, you're gonna fuel this kid, man. It's like the lesson is just not learned yet, apparently, bro.
Apparently not. And we're excited to see him continue to reteach the lesson. So really excited about that, and I hope you guys are as well because they asked for it. Just remember that. And guys, for the conspiracy theorists out there, remember what happened last night. Remember it happened on that date. Was it August 2nd? What's today, the 3rd?
It's the 3rd today.
Yeah, so August 2nd of 2024. Remember that date and remember what happened that night when in February the three-peat takes place and the conspiracy theorists are calling it rigged. Remember what happened because there is math to all of this. We do remember what led up to what's about to happen. Just remember when a three-peat takes place and the conspiracy theorists are trying to downplay it or dilute it, that's when you say, no, I remember what y'all were saying 7 months ago. I remember what you guys were throwing out there 6-7 months ago and how you guys poked that bear and put another chip on that dude's shoulder and basically challenged him to prove his worth again. And he did it again. Just remember that, guys. So there's a topic I brought up yesterday on Twitter. If you're not following me on there, you should probably change that because we have a lot of fun over there, for the better or worse. We had a conversation, Trevor, about a guy that, look, I'm not a big fan of his because it's not that he's some terrible dude or he's some horrific player. He's just a guy. He's a jag.
Yeah.
And I think that there's been an overabundance of loyalty and defense for this player. I don't know why it is. I can't figure it out. We're going to talk about it, and maybe you guys will make sense of it, but I can't make sense of it. We know that a little over a week ago, it was almost 2 weeks ago actually now, Justin Watson, wide receiver for the Chiefs, suffered that lower leg injury, and we've not seen him return to practice since. Now, obviously, no one is wishing injury on Justin Watson. No one is hoping that he can't play. I wish Justin Watson nothing but the best because I know this team loves him and I know this fan base fucking loves him. But as time is going on and now that preseason is about to come together, the more we don't see Justin Watson, the more relevance I think he has on this team. I tweeted this out yesterday. I said, Justin Watson isn't a good enough wide receiver to miss the majority of training camp preseason and still make the 53. Not to mention the fact there are several younger wide receivers that are fighting tooth and nail for a roster spot. If Watson doesn't get back soon, I think the Chiefs should move on. Our lovely, and I mean our awesome, lovely, badass MVP producer, Clay Windler from Red Tribe Cinema, very much does not like when I talk about Justin Watson in this way. In fact, Trevor and I and Clay went out of town last weekend together, hung out, had a great time, had a blast, literally. I won't go into specifics of what we did, but we had a really, really good time. He told me the only 2 times he ever gets mad at me is when I talk about Joe Montana and Justin Watson. So this is something I can trigger Clay, and I don't do this on purpose. It's just something that naturally happens between us. But Clay got inspired by what I was saying yesterday, so he decided if we could put this graphic, Trevor, of what Clay put out there. He said, who is more valuable to the Chiefs, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman? And if you look right here, 60% of almost 500 votes said Justin Watson. 60%. So my smart-ass mouth decided to tweet back at this, and I quote tweeted, and this is the next slide over here if you could. I decided to show their career numbers with the Chiefs. And if you look right here, Mecole Hardman's Chiefs career numbers postseason included. Would you look at it? 2,727 yards from scrimmage, 22 total touchdowns with a catch percentage of 70. Justin Watson, 895 yards from scrimmage, 5 total touchdowns with a 59 catch percentage. Oh, well, Lance, the total numbers aren't what matters. That's not, raw numbers don't matter. It's about value. It's about what they do on the field. Oh, I guess production isn't what they do on the field, I guess, Trev. So what I decided to do, and here's the next slide. In 39 total games, here come the averages, guys. You obviously know the totals, but I'm going to show them just in 39 total games with the Chiefs. Justin Watson has 96 receptions for 895 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's an average of 2 receptions for 23 yards and a touchdown every 8 games. That's the wide receiver the Chiefs can't go on without, huh? In just 10 games with KC last season, Mecole Hardman averaged 2 receptions for 18 yards, and folks were telling me for years that he's a bum. They're the same player statistically when it comes to just receiving the ball. And you're telling me one guy is a guy that, oh, well, he's got all this trust with Patrick Mahomes. You got to keep him. You got to keep him. And the other guy's a bum. The same bum that the Chiefs had to go and trade for 6 weeks into last season. When I was told the wide receiver room was filled. When I was told Justin Watson was reliable. Oh, well, he got hurt that week, Lance. Yes, but he only missed 1 game last season. It wasn't like Justin Watson missed the whole season and they had to go get Mecole Hardman out of desperation. They got Mecole Hardman and kept playing Mecole Hardman when Justin Watson was healthy. Yeah. And in fact, who caught the game winner, the Super Bowl winning touchdown? That matters.
Yeah.
It was Mecole Hardman. My point in all of this is not to say Mecole Hardman's some great player, Justin Watson sucks, cut his ass, keep Mecole Hardman. I'm saying that Justin Watson is a guy that is very replaceable. And if you have young, aspiring wide receivers that are trying to make this roster, and in my opinion are quite frankly more available, younger, maybe more athletic, more gifted overall, or maybe just want to prove themselves and are on an offense that is very much in the transition of building a better wide receiving core, why would I hold on to a guy that I know is replaceable and has not been playing? This is a cutthroat business, and if we know anything about this team right now, what is the number one objective, Trevor? It's for them to three-peat. That means you put the best team out there. And availability is well over half the battle. And if Justin Watson can't play in the preseason, if he can't go for the rest of the training camp, then I don't know what we're talking about here. Because he won't be physically ready for the season. And they need as many able bodies as possible starting week 1. Because the Chiefs can't afford to lose any games. Any unnecessary games. Sure, they can be resilient and fight through and all those other things. But what happened last season is not something that I think can be replicated. That is about as difficult as it gets to win a Super Bowl, especially with the road they took on, literally. You do not want to replicate that season. What you want to replicate is what happened in 2022. You can't replicate 2019 because Tyreek Hill's not here. You can't replicate 2022. What was the thing, Trevor, that kept that team so awesome? They led the league in explosive plays. They led the league in points, and Patrick Mahomes won MVP. You want to get back to that. Get as many guys out there that are able-bodied and ready to go. And in my opinion, Trevor, and I don't have the list on this, so don't even worry about looking for it. But if I'm looking at this wide receiving core right now, I'm keeping 6 right now as it stands. Maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, it's clearly Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, who continues to bud in practice. Oh my God, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Xavier Worthy. I can't give the kids enough praise.
That's shit. Man.
Yes, I love what I'm seeing from the kid. Xavier Worthy at the number 3 spot. I would say Mecole Hardman, number 4. I think he's done more than enough at training camp, and he's a proven veteran in this roster. They're going to keep Mecole Hardman barring injury.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman at number 4. Nico Remigio. I'm not having this conversation anymore. This dude's making the roster.
Yeah.
He's impressing everybody once again, just like he did last season, just like he did last season before he got hurt. He's impressing everybody behind the mic. By the way, I don't know if you heard this dude talk. He is so articulate. He has this veteran mindset. He's only 24 years old, but he's got like this veteran mindset. He knows the game so well. I want cerebral dudes like this on this team.
He's a gym rat, too.
Gym rat. Thank you. Exactly. He's on that field constantly. He's going to make this team at number 5. Number 6, I'm just going to say it, dude. I think it's Justin Ross. I think Justin Ross is making this team again. I know it sounds not, this is coming from me, guys, the guy who always finds a way to doubt Justin Ross. But here we are again. I feel like Jack Nicholson. Here we are again. Dude, we are talking about a guy that once again is wowing everybody at training camp. And we know this matters.
Yep.
We know this matters. We know this team pays close attention to training camp. And I've always said I've never been a big preseason guy. The biggest reason why, Trevor, because preseason, by the time the preseason games come around, the coaches know who 95% of the roster is.
Sure.
They already know. There's maybe 5-10 guys at most they're still kind of looking at. I don't believe that Justin Ross is one of those guys if he's playing like this at training camp again. They kept him on the roster last season. I think they're going to keep him on the team again. And I'm the guy that said that if he was going to impress, he would have done it last season. He didn't impress last season. He had 10 catches. But I think because of Justin Watson's injury, it opens up the door for somebody else who's younger and more gifted. And Justin Ross is both. Justin Ross is, 3-4 years younger, and he's a more skilled player. And you're going to tell me right now that if you gave me a whole season of Justin Ross where he doesn't get in trouble and act like a jackass off the field, doesn't get hurt, you're going to tell me right now he couldn't put up 2 catches for 23 yards a game if given the opportunity? I'm just saying, man, like I'm not against Justin Watson making this roster. Yeah. If he was healthy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about this. We'd be sitting here talking about who around these other veterans are going to make the team. But because of the fact that Justin Watson is missing time, this is a more serious injury than they let on. I have to question, Trevor, whether this guy's going to be a dude that makes this roster. Maybe he goes on the IR. Fine. Cool. They want to keep him that badly, put him on IR. But if this is a cutthroat, best players make it, most available players make it, the hardest working guys make it, then it has to be somebody else. And I don't believe there's any chance in hell they keep 7 receivers again. We saw how that worked out last season. That was an absolute nightmare. I think they keep 5 or 6. That's usually what Andy Reid does. I think he's going to keep it that way. What are your thoughts on this, Trevor?
Well, I mean, to Clay's original poll and his point there, as far as who's more valuable between Mecole Hardman and Justin Watson, I don't know how the poll's that far off there. As far as value, I think it's clearly Mecole who's more valuable to this team. I mean, let alone what he can do as a receiver, but also being able to be utilized as a special teamer as well, right? I mean, we've seen him have moments like that, and Mecole's had epic moments with the Chiefs in his Chiefs career. We have multiple moments where that's a Mecole game, right? We've seen him score 3+ touchdowns against a gnarly defensive squad in the Niners.
Yeah.
You know, he was the man that game. There is no Justin Watson moments. And I like Justin Watson. I like him. I think he's one of those another gym rat, another guy that's a coach's kind of favorite, kind of guy that likes to have it. But there's no real Justin Watson moments in any real game, and especially any game of significance, right? Mecole is the walk-off guy in the Super Bowl last year, let alone the other moments he's had leading into that. A guy that was tough as nails going out there and kept, playing injured against the Cincinnati Bengals, making one of the biggest plays of the game, converting third and long, a guy that gave and got injured and knocked out after that catch, a guy that was sacrificing his body for the team. He's had several moments for this team and the success of this team, and him being a part of those things. So for me, it's clearly Mecole. If it's between those two guys, who's more valuable, who could be utilized more for this team and be that guy. But when it comes to the filling out the rest of these roster spots, it's tough, man. I do think the Chiefs find a way to keep Justin Watson on this team. If it does come down to him and Justin Ross, I think they're going to choose Justin Watson just because of the familiarity, and I think they find a way, just like they have for years now, to keep both of them on this team. Whether it's Justin Ross on the practice squad or whatever, I think they find a way to keep both these guys around. I want Justin Ross to make this team over Justin Watson because I think there's far more upside. And we've talked about the upside, but yet we've yet to see it, and that's the frustrating part. We really want to see Justin Ross put it together because I do think he could be a valuable piece to this offense for just his stature and his abilities. Could bring in a difference because we have a lot of guys that are similar size in this offense that are smaller, faster guys. He's a tall, fast guy that has great hands and showcase that in college. Really want to see that transcend into the NFL and be a part of this and help this offense. But But I know the injury is lingering right now for Justin Watson, but I don't think that's enough for them to completely just part ways with Justin Watson, bro. For whatever reason, whatever voodoo he's got over these, whatever hex he's got over these guys that are calling the shots for the roster spots, I think he's got something there still. I think he's going to be a part of this team moving forward in this season. I like him. I don't think he's been a great contributor. But as a depth guy, say somebody goes down or whatever, say there's a suspension for Rashee Rice, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be in there and getting his reps in, man. Regardless of what his numbers look like, unimpressive as they've been since he's been a Chief, I think he's going to be a part of this team.
Well, and that might be true, and that's why I like to do these experiments sometimes. And I almost wanted to do a blind reveal yesterday where I was like, look at these numbers, and tell me which guy's more valuable. Clearly, everybody, if they saw the numbers of McCole Hardman, they would think, oh, well, yeah, he's the more valuable player. He does more. That's why you said, like, I don't understand how this poll's close because McCole not only has been more productive, just period, he does more things for this team.
Yeah.
You're talking about punt, kick returns, things of that nature. Justin Watson's just not built for those things.
Well, we got a comment from our guy, John Harrison. He says, info for everyone. Matt Derrick is at camp every day. He said, when Worthy isn't in the lineup at Z wide receiver with the ones, it's Hardman. That shows the coach's lack of confidence in Tony Moore and others in that spot and confidence in Hardman.
100%. John nailed it right there.
Yeah.
Why do you think I didn't mention Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney?
Strongly in that rotation there, yeah.
Okay, we're seeing now Wanya Morris did get hurt, and so I'm hoping he's all right. But before that happened, we saw Kingsley getting all the first-team reps. Why? Mm-hmm. The team is telling us. This is why I said, guys, the team before the first preseason game even happens, they know who 95% of the roster is, and they know who the majority of their starters are. Unless some guy just absolutely wows in preseason games, those are just practices for the guys they know are making the team. And then they play the other guys out, and if anybody wants them, they can trade them. That's what they did with, what was that receiver that they sent off to Carolina last season? Merced?
Yeah.
They utilized him the way they did, and they traded him, right? That at the end of games, end of the preseason, outside of those occasions, they know who's going to make this roster. They had no intention of keeping Smith Marset. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
They had no intention of keeping him. They knew who their roster was. They were set, but they kept showcasing him to see if anybody would bite, and the Panthers bit. That's the only way I see Kadarius Toney or Sky Moore doing anything in preseason, is if you see these guys out there late in games getting opportunities. I really believe the Chiefs are trying to trade Kadarius Toney. I don't know what the future holds for Sky Moore. Maybe he'll end up on the IR or something with another injury that we, found out about, all of a sudden. Maybe that's what they try to do with Sky Moore.
Yeah.
Fact is, neither one of those guys, in my opinion, deserve a roster spot.
This is Sky Moore's last year on his contract, though. I mean, right? Isn't it?
This is his third season. So,
okay,
no,
so
his rookie deal, he has 4 years. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, so he's got 2 more years. But that's honestly another thing you can utilize for a trade is you have 2 more years on a rookie deal for a guy that another coaching staff can convince themselves they like. Because there's always other coaching staffs that like these players from afar.
Oh, yeah, coming into the draft, I'm sure the Chiefs weren't the only ones that liked
him.
Yeah. So a lot of people had draft grades on him probably that were higher than even he went when we took him. So I'm sure there's other teams that like him.
So the point, to just piggyback off what John's saying, you're seeing an intentional rotation. You're seeing the McCole Hardman, and this is why I told you guys, the moment they signed McCole Hardman back this offseason, he's making this roster.
Yeah.
They trust McCole Hardman. Is he a player with faults and flaws? Yes. He is not a perfect player. He's not a great wide receiver by any means. But he is a guy that the Chiefs know if they implement him in certain scenarios, in certain situations, more times than not, he's going to do his job.
And he's going to be ready.
He's going to be ready. He knows the offense.
The Super Bowl last year proved that.
And he's available.
Right? That play wasn't even designed for him, and he was still ready. Yeah. He caught the game-winning play. Yeah.
Before the 2022 injury he suffered with his abdomen, which was a severe injury, guys, he'd never missed a game in his career.
Yeah.
2019, 2020, 2021, no games missed. And since then, no games missed. McCole Hardman is a very versatile, he learns, he can keep us, he's durable. He's very durable. He keeps his body in shape. He's fast as hell, and he's a team guy. The team loves him, for better or worse, man.
He's played through even injuries that probably would have kept other guys out of games, and he played through them. That abdominal injury, that was rough, man.
And my thing is, Trevor, is how many times, where do we finally draw the line with certain players? Like, even with Justin Watson, bring him back in this conversation. Like, people think he's some reliable guy, yet he doesn't do the things of a reliable player. His catch percentage is 59%.
And I mean, he's very inconsistent. We can go 3 games and forget he's even out there.
Yes,
I mean, like it's
what are we talking about?
It's not a shot at him. That's not a shot at him.
No.
It's just we're really talking about the bottom of the barrel.
Brass tacks. This is brass tacks.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a position that is so polarizing on this roster. Since the day they traded Tyreek Hill, we need to focus on how to shore it up as much as possible. And I know so many people love Justin Watson, but guys, if you really look at it from a true perspective, he is a man that can and will be replaced, I believe.
Yeah.
He can very much be
Well,
replaced.
it just goes to show the lack of talent we've had in this receiver room for a while now.
I mean, tell me about it, dude.
So,
This is a guy that was inactive for the majority of his Tampa Bay Buccaneers career.
yeah.
You know, this is a dude that Tom Brady and them they didn't really need. It's the same thing in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes will make a guy look good.
He's a jag for sure.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes can make a lot of guys look good. But a lot of these receivers that are on this team right now, guys, I don't believe deserve roster spots, especially if you're injured, banged up, unhealthy, unreliable, unavailable. Like those are the things that I think can be absolute detriments to you making a roster, and they should be. Because you have to be a guy. If you're just a guy, if you're not a difference-making star player, you have to be healthy 95% of the time. I'm so serious. Why do you think I give Mecole Hardman so much credit? He's not a superstar player, but he's always healthy. He's always there. You know Mecole Hardman will be ready every single week. That is why I give him the credit I give him. And as much as I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the thing I knock on him about is what? The guy has been injured a lot in his career. That's the biggest detriment to why he never really popped as a first-round running back.
Yeah.
That's what happens with some of these guys.
We got a comment from KL368 on YouTube. Justin Watson is another wide receiver that when he leaves KC, he'll have trouble finding another roster, a la MVS.
Oh, you mean the guy that helped Patrick Mahomes win an MVP?
I'm not sure how real that quote is, but if it is, my God, man.
Yeah, he's literally about to get cut from the Bills.
The dude's delusion is
Patrick Mahomes won
next
back-to-back.
level.
Patrick Mahomes went back-to-back Super Bowls and Super Bowl MVPs, so that guy's a third option in his offense. Think about how insane that is. MVS was Patrick Mahomes' third option last season in this offense, and they won the Super Bowl. So yes, Justin Watson can make this roster, sure, but like our guy right here said, if Justin Watson was cut today, you will never hear of Justin Watson again.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of this business, man. This is not to stack on or shit on this dude. It's just to talk about the reality of the situation. And if we all believe this wide receiver room is better and will continue to get better, then you need to add pieces that will continue to make that the case.
Well, and again, back to the Mecole Hardman comparison or the poll there that was initiated by Clay. Like, Mecole Hardman is forever entrenched in Chiefs lore.
Forever.
He is going to be remembered in Chiefs lore forever. He already had massive, memorable games and just had maybe the biggest moment he'll ever have of his career last season and made the play of the postseason, right? Last season. So, and solidified the back-to-back champs, you know what I mean? And Justin Watson's going to be easily forgotten. If that doesn't put this conversation to bed, I don't know what else needs to be said, man.
I don't know what else needs to be said either. And I briefly want to go over this real quick because I know I touched on it just a little bit right here. But we saw, like I said, Wanye got hurt. I don't know what the actual injury is, but I think that's a foregone conclusion now, man. That we know who our left tackle is in Kansas City.
I don't like that Wanye is hurt though. I mean, that hurts the depth of this offensive line. But
I highly doubt it's gonna be a long-term injury.
Yeah,
but he was sitting in the front of the cart, which is usually the better sign.
Right.
Back of the cart means you probably fucked your leg up or something really bad happened.
You need more space.
Yeah, especially as a big guy. You know, Wanie's 6'6", 320 pounds. Like he's a big dude. I think he's going to be fine for the season, but I think this pretty much puts it on ice. And honestly, I was never worried about it, Trevor. You know, I've been talking about this since the day they drafted the kid. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙳𝙴 is going to be the Chiefs' left tackle. I don't want to hear about Tristan Wirfs. I don't want to hear about the Chiefs going out and getting David Bakhtiari, who's missed like 50 games over the last 3 years. I don't want to hear about it. I want to hear about the Chiefs' second-round pick, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙳𝙴, is getting his due because he's been out here busting ass. If you guys watch these videos, there's a video that I absolutely love, dude. They had a little dump-off screen to the left side, which are like my favorite plays. You know those little delayed dump-offs?
Oh, yeah.
And all the linemen are out there moving around. Dude, and Kingsley is burning down the field. Dude, this dude is hauling ass. You imagine seeing a dude that size running at you full speed. Good fucking luck. And dude, it got me so stoked. I should have had the video ready. But just to see him out there, number 76, just hauling ass in front of Isaiah Pacheco, just ready to knock the fuck out of whoever's in front of him. I was so stoked. He looked like a fullbacker out there, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool to see, man. Like I was very happy to see that. I think he's earning his way because I know that the Chiefs love him. He's obviously a BYU grad, just like Andy Reid is. all that stuff aside, he has earned his keep, in my opinion. He's showing us why the Chiefs loved him from the beginning, why they were hoping he would still be there at 64, which they ended up trading him to, I think, 63 with the Niners to get him. But the fact is, dude, is that this, I hope you guys are ready. I know I've been hyping him up. I know you guys are sick of hearing about it. You guys are sick of hearing about my negative stuff, but hear me out on the positive side of things, man. Kingsley is a dude. He is going to be a dude that locks up that left side. We were talking about Arrowhead Allies this week about how, because they were asking me that question. Noah and Clint were asking me, like, Lance, what's your take on this whole thing right now, man? I said, guys, he shirted up. And now that Joe Thuney's back off the PUP list, that left side of this offensive line is going to be so sexy. Like, Joe Thuney last season, 99% win rate, which meant that you're just not getting through Joe Thuney. I have no reason to believe that Joe Thuney's going to lose any of his step this year. I believe Joe Thuney's going to be right back to who he was. Creed Humphrey is just now going to start getting into his prime years. Trey Smith on the right side as well. Juwan Taylor, I'm actually expecting big things from Juwan Taylor this year. I think he's going to have a monster season on that right tackle. Guys, if all these dudes pop at the same time, this is easily a top 5 offensive line. I dare say, outside of the Lions, this might be the best offensive line in football. And I'm being dead serious. Because what has been the biggest question on the Chiefs offensive line over the last year or two? Left tackle. Left tackle's answered. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to see that. Yes, he's a rookie. He's going to have growing pains. There's going to be times he's going to have a game here and there against a really good pass rusher or two where he's going to struggle. So give him that break. I'm going to give him that break. He's going to have a couple games here or there where he gets done. It's going to happen.
He's going to have his welcome to the NFL moments.
Absolutely. And honestly, those are good things to happen.
It could be week 1. I mean, we're going against a nasty front in Baltimore, bro.
Yeah.
So
and he's going to be going against Hendrickson in week 2 against the Bengals. Like, he's going to be going against some studs this year, bro.
Max Crosby twice.
Yeah. The AFC West, one thing that these other teams are good at is getting pass rushers.
Yep.
So let's be real. Kingsley's going to have to earn his keep and cut his teeth very quickly. But I love the confidence. I love the athleticism more than anything. How many offensive tackles do you know that can jump out of a pool? That man can. Like, this dude's got the physical abilities, and he's got the best coaching staff in the world to teach him how to become the best left tackle he possibly can. You got Andy Heck as the offensive line coach and Andy Reid. 2 guys that know the interior side of the NFL better than anybody. Yep. I'm telling you right now, and he's going up against Chris Jones, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu. He's going up against these guys. I hope you guys are ready, man. I really hope you guys are ready, man. And one other thing on the defensive side before we get to speak it, I can't believe we didn't post this or get this out here. But I did run a poll yesterday because a guy that I think we all need to be ready for as well, Trevor, this season to make some noise is my boy Felix Anudike-Uzomah. FAU.
I'm tempering my expectations, but yes, I have high hopes.
So I did post it on Twitter. I'm sorry we don't have the poll. Listening audience, viewing audience, go and just check it out. Lance has spoken. I posted it 16 hours ago. I did post this. How many sacks will FAU have this season? Not that that's the end-all be-all of him being effective, but I just wanted to get people's ideas. I put less than 5, 5+, or 10+. 61% believe he's going to have over 5. And I 100% agree with that. We saw, in opportunities given, FAU was in the backfield a lot this last season. We saw in that Jaguars game early in the season, his second game of his career, he was in the backfield hitting Trevor Lawrence nonstop.
Yeah.
We saw him against the Chargers at the end of the season, getting back there, popping their back. Now, that was a backup quarterback, so we're not going to use that as the gospel here. But we saw throughout time, even in the postseason, there was a couple times where FAU was getting pressure on Lamar Jackson, on Josh Allen. Like, we saw it happen. The growing aspect. We saw, remember George Karlaftis' first season? Didn't have a ton of sacks. I think he went 6.5.
A lot of pressures.
But you saw pressures.
Yeah.
You saw George Karlaftis he started winning battles with tackles. That's what you start seeing with FAU. I think you're going to start seeing that with FAU this season. Only he's going to be wrapping the quarterback up before that ball's out of his hands. And I'm really excited to see what FAU says because, again, for the second straight season, he's going to get an opportunity without Charles Omenihu out there. Because once Charles Omenihu came out and started playing football, we knew who the dog was. Charles Omenihu. He's going to get the playing time over Felix because Felix is on a 5-year rookie deal, and we know that Charles Omenihu is on a veteran contract. Clearly the better player at this point of their careers. He's going to get the opportunities. And so it basically became like a fresh, a red shirt season for FAU. This season, it's going to be a lot different. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of split ups between him, Omenihu, Karlaftis on that outside. I think you're going to see some split ups where FAU is going to get on both sides of that defensive line and get opportunities going. They
Use
might
that,
even
that first step. He's got that speed, man.
They might even have him split up a little bit with Dana too at D end, where he's kind of coming on from the interior side of things, not just the outside, but kind of in there with Chris Jones, maybe box it in a little bit. I think they're going to move FAU around a lot this year, because something Spagnuolo talked about in a recent interview was the fact that they struggled last season with turning the ball over.
Yeah.
The best way of getting turnovers is getting pressure on the quarterback at an adequate rate. Now, the Chiefs have been able to do that, but they haven't been getting the turnovers. I think if FAU turns it up, gets 5, 6, 7 sacks, all of a sudden you have Chris Jones, who's going to get 12 plus, Karloff, who's going to get 10 plus, Mike Denton, who's going to get 7, 8 probably on his own. Then you're going to have FAU, Charles Minute, who's probably going to get 5 to 10. All of a sudden you have a plethora of guys that, what is a plethora?
Do you know what a plethora is?
He's nothing, nada. No, so Three Amigos. So we're talking about a collection of dudes on this defensive line that can give opportunities to guys like Trent McDuffie and some of these young cornerbacks opportunities to go up and get the ball, because the ball's going to be thrown quicker or a little bit inaccurately or tipped or whatever the case, or fumbled. Linebackers going up and getting those balls. This is where it all starts. And if you have another asset like FAU that can add that much more pressure to these quarterbacks, and if you look at the Chiefs' schedule right now, I'm not trying to downplay it because I think it's a good schedule. It's an honest schedule. Yeah. There are a lot of quarterbacks on this schedule. You're like, oh, they can terrorize that dude. A lot of statues they're going to be playing against this year. Like in particular, early in the season, Kirk Cousins. It's going to be. I think the Falcons have a chance to be a really good team this year. But Kirk Cousins has missed a lot of time coming off an Achilles tear.
Massive injury.
And he's 36.
Yeah, man.
Maybe the Chiefs go in there on that turf and rough him up a little bit. I'm just saying, there's a lot of quarterbacks on this schedule. They could beat up Joe Burrow. They could beat up that guy. They could beat up this guy. Some statues in that backfield. And that's where FAU could really come in and shine. But, what are your expectations with FAU so far?
He has to be good. Last year, it was basically kind of a sit and watch kind of situation. This dude was drafted in the first round, man.
Yeah.
He has to be good. There's no pressure. I don't want to hear about pressure. I don't want to hear. This is season 2. He was drafted last year to be something. We didn't really give him that opportunity for whatever reason. He was out there a little bit. He showed spark, but we don't know much about him yet, right? And when the live bullets are flying. So this is for me. This is make or break. This is year 2 in a first round draft pick, and basically kind of sat and watched this first season. He has to be good, man. Those are my expectations. I've tempered them for the most part, but I can only temper a first round pick so much, especially on the defensive line that needs help. After we've lost some pieces in this last offseason, and we have a guy coming back from injury and Amenahu, and George Karlaftis hopefully can take that next step again. He's gotten better gradually every season. Hoping he can do that too. But Felix has to be good, man. And from what I've heard, he's looked really great at camp. He was even having really good battles with Kingsley. Julia Gulia in the chat says he was burning Kingsley on one-on-ones, which I like to see. I want to see that. He should be burning the Rook. This is his year. This is his second year. These guys are both, high draft picks. So I want to see those guys going at it. I want to see those guys get the best out of each other, right? So for me, man, my expectations are I'm in the medium here, but where I'm really at, he has to be good here. Right, he has to go out there and perform and put up good numbers from where he was drafted, and what the expectation should be in year 2 with him learning this defense and having that much more knowledge of Spag's system. He's got to be good, and for Chris Jones, getting up there in age 2, who's still obviously an elite player in this league and the best at his position. Now that Aaron Donald is gone, he needs that guy to be good too, right? And he's going to get they're going to get the best of each other because they're going to counter each other and as far as what their skill sets demand. And if Chris Jones is going to continue to do what he does and demand double teams, triple teams at times, there is no excuse for Felix not to produce. There's no excuse for George Karlaftis not to be as good as he's been and better. I have a lot of faith in this system, in Spag's system, and I have a lot of excitement going into this season with this defensive line. And I think this defensive line was really good last year. I think they're going to be that much better this year. Felix can be what he needs to be and what he's expected to be, and that's great.
You said it right there. That's the key aspect to all this, the Spag system. This is why I didn't worry about losing L'Jarius Sneed.
Right. Oh, yeah.
In most cases, you lose a stud like L'Jarius Sneed, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way still.
I know, but they're going to learn quick. Yeah. Like, oh, it's more about the system.
Yeah.
Because what is the system built around, Trevor? Chris Jones. This is what we talk about all the time, about how Brett Veach has never had a draft without Chris Jones there, and Spags has never had a coach without Chris Jones there.
Well, very quickly we can learn that this defense is built around Chris Jones and Felix. that could definitely become a thing quickly because Felix was drafted to be that.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to start expecting that.
Well, and you got to remember, to your point, to add to it, they have 2 first-round edge rushers on this defense. Him and George Karlaftis.
Yeah.
So we know that Brett Veach is heavily invested in this pass rush.
George has lived up to the hype, man.
Yes,
this is Felix's chance here, right?
Dude, I'm telling you, yes, George Karlaftis is on a trajectory to pass Tom Ali for second all-time in Chief sacks.
And I think he's only getting better. I think George still has more growth in the tank, bro.
And this is why I told you guys, and not to look. We can have this conversation later on as time goes on when the money starts to become a real thing. But even though Trent McDuffie is a fantastic player and looks like he's going to have another all-pro season by the way he's playing at training camp already, shutting dudes down, I would pay George Karlaftis over Trent McDuffie because of the fact the positional value.
This is a pivotal year here for both of them, for sure.
If George Karlaftis has a 12-13 sack season, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I'll be on board with you for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Trent, man. That's my dude. But like, I'm an edge rush guy,
and that's not to
that's
say
how this league goes. You got to get after the quarterback.
Well, and that's not to say that either one's going to get paid this next offseason. They could, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Third-year eligibility.
Sure.
So that is, I know it's super unpopular for people because I know people think because I said that I would take DK Metcalf in a trade.
No, it's simple.
Guys,
you value the defensive lineman before you value the cornerbacks.
We see what this defense is built around. It is not built around the cornerback position. This is not the Seahawks of the Legion of Boom.
Right.
This is, hey, we are a defense that has a stout upfront defense built around Chris Jones.
Yeah.
And until that is otherwise different, we are going to continue to add to that in the middle of the defense and the front of the defense and continue to pound quarterbacks the way we do. That is what, because Spags is known for what? Pressure.
Yeah.
He gets pressure. Okay. You're going to want to continue to invest in that pressure. And if George Karlaftis is a guy that you see is a long-term answer, but you don't want to pay him and another defensive player max money, you're going to have to make that choice. Now, again, I know they love George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis wasn't even on the board because they thought he would be gone by 16. So we know the story. So Trent McDuffie is a guy they see as a long-term answer. They wanted him. They got him.
Yep.
But if it's going to come down to both of them, I look at positional value and I look at what I think this defense is built around, and it's not even a question.
Yeah.
I pay George Karlaftis.
Even if Trent has another All-Pro season, which I expect that. I mean, at this point, the guy's incredible. If he even has another All-Pro season without even having an interception, mind you, which was wild last year, he's incredible.
He had 5 forced fumbles?
Yeah, I mean, he just breaks up so many plays in the slot. He's incredible. But I mean, even if he has another one of those seasons, and George has 10, 11, 12 sacks, which is impressive, obviously.
Their money just gonna go.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm paying George.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you gotta. There's just a difference in the value that's brought in. We gotta trust the system that has been very consistent throughout his entire career as a defensive coordinator in Spags. He knows how to generate pressure up front. And he needs those trustworthy guys that can do that for him. And he also knows how to keep his DBs in the right place at the right time. And he has a structure that just helps those kind of guys thrive. Even though, obviously, I think Trent is a superior talent than most of the guys that even Spags has had in his system. He's had a lot of great corners and DBs, but I think Trent is special. But I'm still paying the guys to get after the quarterbacks. That's how you have to build your defenses, especially nowadays, man. With those linebackers are smaller, DBs are smaller and faster, and they're flying around. You got to get and obviously the wide receiver talent is ridiculous nowadays, and this game is built around offense. You got to get guys that can disrupt that quickly, and that's your defensive end, and that's your defensive lineman. So you pay those guys. If it comes down to those two, hopefully you can pay both those guys when the time comes. But if George takes a slight step forward, you got to pay him.
Well, and the only caveat I could see to them paying George Karlaftis long-term money is if the guy we've been talking about a lot in this segment pops.
Yeah.
FAU.
Oh, yeah.
If FAU,
that's a linchpin.
Yeah, if FAU comes out there this season has 8 sacks, and then in 2025 has 14 sacks, you're like, oh shit.
Just get 8 to 10.
Yeah, but I'm saying
like holy shit.
If you see like a massive step this year, like he goes and gets 8 sacks, and then in 2025 has 14 sacks, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, we may not pay George. This might be the guy we pay in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like,
it'd be easier to separate ourselves from Amenahu as well. We could walk away from that. You know what I mean? I know he wants the bag.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever getting the bag now because of injuries.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think even if it's another team that pays Charles, his number's gone way down.
I love him, man.
I love him too. He's only 25, 27, 25, 26
he's
years
gonna
old.
I think he's going to get a big contract somewhere after this season.
I would love him to be here as well.
If he stays healthy.
I think if he stays in Kansas City, though, he's only going to be getting like 13 to 14 million a year.
He'll probably take money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just ball out this season, baby. Let's go get this.
If he gets 2 rings with the Chiefs,
man.
Yeah, he can go and get 15 to 16 million. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that gets 20 plus because of the injuries. He has not just injuries, he has ACL tears. Yeah. You know what I mean? He has multiple, if I'm not mistaken, multiple ACL tears. So that's a big thing. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the chat as far as these topics are concerned, or anything else you guys want to bring up. Chiefs, football, whatever conversation you guys want to have. Shout out to 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴. I don't know if you guys saw. She just won her 7th gold medal. This woman is just going off, dude. She's the GOAT. Like, what she's doing is just stupid. She was not even supposed to contend this year. She wasn't even going to compete
in American sports history.
She's 27 now. Like that's old for Olympians.
She's the oldest, I think, Olympian in U.S. history to win.
I think her and Michael Phelps, one of the two. Yeah, like the same age. But
I still think Michael Phelps has her a little.
Well, I'm saying like as far as like the women's side of things, she's the GOAT, dude.
Yeah. Oh, dude. As far as gymnasts, female gymnasts, it's not even close, bro.
7 gold medals when she wasn't even supposed to compete this year. She was like debating whether she.
I'll go win.
I'll go win 7 golds. Fuck it.
It's crazy, man.
I love it, and shout out to her husband too. What's his name?
I forget his name too.
Jonathan. Is it Jonathan Banks? I want to say. Or?
No, I know. I forget his name.
I just saw. Oh, here he is. Jonathan Owens. I'm sorry, Jonathan Owens.
Yeah.
He goes. Just another reminder. My wife is the shit. Hell yeah, dude. I love the
cool seeing him in the stands cheering on too.
He was wearing her gold medal last night at the events and everything. I love it. I don't know why they get hate. It's the dumbest shit in the world. I love those.
Just because he said he's the prize, which is.
I mean, whatever. We didn't have that conversation.
Even though she agreed, but it's fine.
I love what the support they give each other. She'll show up to not Packer games now. He's with the Bears, I think now. Yeah. Regardless, I love that. And congratulations, 𝚂𝙗𝙗𝙗 Biles. Well deserved. Her and her whole team, man. That's so cool. The Olympic. So we were watching the NBA or the basketball guys.
Yeah,
whooping that ass.
Playing Puerto Rico right now. LeBron working on a triple dub right now.
Trip dub.
Got to check in on it.
Let's get to the people, Trevor. We made them wait for a little over an hour now. What is going on? And speak it.
All right, man. So we got a couple from Dustin Orton from the Jump here. He says, anyone else pumped for a petty scorched earth Mahomes season?
Dustin, you already know from here, bro. You already know where we stand on this whole thing.
It's full chub over here, baby.
Yeah, we're 6 to midnight. As soon as I heard the calamity, the comedy of errors that took place at Raider camp, even before that, when I heard Antonio Pierce say they got the blueprint, when I saw that, and then I saw this cute little Kermit the Frog thing happen at Raider camp, and then I see number 4 next to Patrick Mahomes' name on the top NFL Top 100. I can't tell you how, because I'm always more on the skeptical side of things, just by nature. And when I think about a team three-peating in the NFL, there's a lot of qualifications that have to go into it. And one of those, the main one for me is obviously you got to have the right guy in place, quarterback, head coach, all that stuff. That's the obvious. But the other thing is, do they have the mindset? Are they focused? There is no question about it now, Dustin. This team, if they weren't focused before, you bet your ass they are now, dude, because they got people chirping all across the league. Oh, dude, again, I love the fact that no one ever seems to learn. They never seem to learn. I love it. I know this is a very weird comparison, but when I used to watch that show 24 with Jack Bauer and Kiefer Sutherland, remember that show? That show was I love that show.
Yep.
I remember it would be like season after season after season. They would never trust Jack Bauer, but he would always be the one that ends up like saving everyone's ass. And I'm like, how many more times is Jack Bauer gonna have to do this shit before people start believing that he is who he says he is, and he's innocent? He's not this weird, killing guy. He got set up and this and that. Why can't you just believe Jack Bauer is this badass that just saves the world every damn time? On this side of things, like, why are you guys why do you guys keep doing the same shit over and over again, saying the same shit over and over? It's almost like you guys want Patrick Mahomes to do this. It's almost like you guys are hoping that Patrick Mahomes comes and decleats you again. Because that's literally what's going to happen now. Yeah. That's literally what's going to happen now. And I love it so much. I love the fact, Trevor, that we get to now see pissed off Patrick with a team that, in my opinion, I think this wide receiver room's better. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's a great wide receiver room, but I think it's much better than it was a year ago, especially when they cut Kadarius Toney, when they get rid of Sky Moore, trim the fat, have better guys out there on the field who saw Hollywood Brown out there snagging difficult passes the other day. I think that's what's been missing in this offense. Now that you have veteran presences like that, Rashee Rice in year 2, Xavier Worthy learning his way into this offense, Nico Remigio, guys like that, you're going to see Patrick Mahomes be able to do the things he's been wanting to do. And once that happens, once this offense clicks again, dude, like it was in 2022, this league's fucked. This league is absolutely, because this defense is better than it was in 2022.
There's definitely a lot of masochistic undertones going on across the league because these guys just are gluttons for punishment, cruising for a bruising, if you will. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, Pat is not above this stuff. Pat is writing all these things down, either mentally or physically, maybe both, probably both, preferably both. I mean, he's not above this, guys. Pat is petty as hell. He may never change. I think he's shown that when you watch that quarterback series. Pat, every single play, Pat is getting triggered by something. He's using it as fuel. That's what the greats do, in my opinion. Even if they don't show it externally and don't always make it about them or about their personal feuds or whatever, Pat is taking all of this in and has a mental note of all of it and does not forget. Trust me, this guy is a lock safe with all that shit.
Cruising for a bruising. You're capping for a clapping. How about that? I like that one.
Yeah.
Capping for a clapping.
Yeah, I love it. We're ready for it, man. Dustin Norton with his next question. Rice, Worthy, Brown are our top 3 wide receivers. Who fills in for the other 2, 3? We kind of touched on this earlier.
No, it's okay.
I know we want Remigio, but decisions will have to be made.
Yeah. And this will never be an easy decision because, again, we don't even know how many receivers they're going to keep. But I'm basing it on my belief that it's going to be 6. I want to get Trevor's, but my 6 are obviously the 3 that you just mentioned of Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. They're 100% locked in and safe. I think number 4 is McCole Hardman. Number 5 is Nico Remigio. And then number 6 right now as it stands because of just health and availability, I think it's Justin Ross. Now, here's the thing. I know everyone makes that all polarizing. Oh, my God. You got Justin Ross making the roster. Guys, when you're the 6th receiver on a team, you're usually going to be on special teams a lot of times. You're not going to be getting a ton of snaps on the offensive side of things unless guys get hurt. So that's the reason why I have Justin Ross on this team, because I think his upside is there. He's young. He's available. You know, believe it or not, Justin Ross is healthy. That's something he's always dealt with, his injury concerns. He's not hurt. He's not hurt for the 2nd straight training camp, and he's putting up highlights again. He's catching balls in the back corner of the end zone when Patrick Mahomes is up there putting them. He's 6'4". Yeah. I like his AJ Brown or his AJ Green style of body. So I want him on this roster as the 6th receiver, and I think they're keeping 6. So those are my 6. Trevor, who do you have right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're keeping 6 as well, and I think Remigio makes the roster. I think McCole makes this roster, and I think it's going to be Justin Watson as that 6th. I think Justin Watson still makes this team. I think he gets healthy. They still got plenty of time to heal up and be ready to go. I want it to be Justin Ross. I really do, and I hope it is. I hope I'm wrong here, but if I'm betting on this and what I think is going to happen, I think Justin Watson still finds a way to squeak into this team, and whether they carry him on the IR possibly. If that happens, then Justin Ross can slide in there and make that 53, which would be awesome. But I think there's plenty of time. There's just so much mystery around his injury right now, and it didn't look good initially, and it still hasn't seemed like it's been a lot of positivity around it. We haven't heard much or been given much about it, but I think Justin Watson finds a way. I think he just has a connection with Pat. I mean, I'm not saying Justin Ross doesn't, but I just think Watson makes this roster, man. Next one from Julia Gulia. Do preseason games matter to coaches when it comes to the roster, or do they know who they want by then? Also, when will we have a clear picture of the roster?
Well, Julia, my theory has always been, and I know I spoke on it just a little bit ago, and maybe other people see it differently, but from the 30 years of watching football that I've seen, even back when preseason was a lot more prevalent and felt more relevant to the NFL, I very much believe that because of how much time these coaches spend in their facilities and in the film room and all off season long. I mean, these guys have 20-hour days a lot of times. GMs, coaches, executives, all this, and they're constantly watching film and dissecting what these players do. I have a very strong belief and indication that these coaches have a very tight grip and understanding of who their roster is before that first preseason game ever happens. Now, injuries happen, so they have to adjust on the fly. But I think going into these preseason games, what they're utilizing those games for is just in-game scenarios against opposition that doesn't know what's coming. That's what they're using. They know who's making the roster. They just want to see what those guys will do in certain scenarios, or just get them some physical reps to have their bodies ready for the real games. But other than that, I really don't see how an Andy Reid, who's been coaching for almost 25 years in this league as a head coach, is going to go, I'm really on the fence here with some starters let me go into this preseason game and see who I think is going to make it as the start. I don't think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think they know through training camp, you get 16 to 20 practices. That's just the ones we see. We know they're constantly in the facilities looking at film, studying, doing things like that. They know these guys inside and out as far as who the player is, who the person is. I don't think that's going to happen. As far as when you will know the roster as far as publicly, that starts to sprinkle out after like the second game of the preseason. You start to see the cuts obviously happen because right now I think there's 90 plus guys on the roster. They have to make about 40 cuts. That's going to be right around the second week of preseason where you start to see a lot of those cuts, and they have that deadline before obviously September 5th. But yeah, you're gonna see. I don't think there's going to be a lot of shocks this year. Let me put it like that. I don't think that you're going to see a bunch of cuts that are like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. Because I think this team is so set. I think that we know who this team is. I think that the guys are going to be cut are the guys that we're expecting to get cut. I don't think you're going to see, like I said, a bunch of surprise names. The only one that I can see being surprising to some people is if it is Justin Watson. But like Trevor and I said, more than likely, if he's not on the starting roster or if he's not on the 53, it's because he's on the IR. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. So, yeah, I definitely think, though, that this coaching staff, especially this one in Kansas City, I'll speak for them. They know already, like, the majority of their roster. I would say right now 90% of their roster's already been made up.
For sure. Dustin Orton, also about this 100 list, top 100 list. Are we really to believe we only have 3 players in the top 100?
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying. Like, Creed Humphrey should have been in there.
Right.
Trey Smith should have been in there.
Yep.
Joe Tooney 100% should have been. I don't know what the hell that's about.
I mean, Isaiah Pacheco should have been pushing for it.
Isaiah Pacheco had over, 1,200 total yards and 9 touchdowns?
Awesome last year, man.
Like, everybody swears by Breece Hall, but Breece Hall didn't have the season Isaiah Pacheco had.
He was better than Breece Hall.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Breece Hall had bigger plays.
Highlight
reel plays, for sure, home run hits, but
last I checked, that Pacheco is now 2 for 2 in Super Bowls.
Right.
He played a legitimate role in winning both of them.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Isaiah Pacheco being in the top 100. But again, yeah, I think the Chiefs have at least 6-7 players. If I was to just off the top of my head right now say who should be in the top 100 from the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Tooney, Isaiah Pacheco, and then Nick Bolton if he had a healthy season. If Nick Bolton would have been healthy all of last season, I'd say Nick Bolton.
Yeah, because he probably would have led the league in tackles again.
Yes.
That guy's always up there in the tops of tackles.
I would say outside of that, you're not going to have 15 dudes in the top 100. There's 32 teams.
Trent McDuffie.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
I don't understand how he wasn't.
Yeah, Trent McDuffie. I would have had him probably in the top 75. Honestly.
That's the one that bugged me the most personally. I don't understand how he wasn't in the top 100.
He was an all-pro.
He was the best corner in football arguably last year.
Well, L'Jarius Sneed, but I mean, L'Jarius was probably the best.
And L'Jarius wasn't even on the goddamn list. That's what's crazy.
Wait, you're kidding.
L'Jarius wasn't on the top. I don't believe so. It was just the 3. Or no, wait. I think he did, actually. I might be wrong on that. Fact check me, chat.
Technically, he's a Titan, so they probably have him as a Titan.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't see L'Jarius on the list.
I didn't go through the whole entire list, but I mean, as far as the top 3, yeah, I mean, well, I think, yeah, Justin Horton says there's only 3 in the top, only 3 Chiefs players in the top 100. Right, so I think those are the only 3 Chiefs to make it, possibly.
I'm trying to look up the NFL top 100 right now.
Yeah, I haven't gone through it entire because it came out yesterday, right?
The final came out.
So I don't know if L'Jarius or McDuffie were actually in the top 100. To be honest with you.
All right, so here's the top 100 right here. I'm not going to list them all off, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah,
one by one. Here we go.
Yeah.
The whole segment dedicated.
I'm not. I'm in the teens though right now. So
I don't know.
CJ Stroud made the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Caleb Williams on there. No, I was kidding.
Caleb.
He's gonna be though.
So I'm looking right now, and I'm not seeing L'Jarius so far.
That's wild. If him and McDuffie both didn't make top 100 at all, that would be.
Dude, bottom 10. Zaire Franklin made it.
Interesting.
Cameron Hayward, even though he missed like half the season. Terry McLaurin. I mean, and what I don't understand is how the hell again Aaron Rodgers made the list.
Yeah, that's.
Harrison Smith made the list.
He missed how many games?
He's like 34-year-old safety.
Didn't he miss like?
He's always hurt.
Yeah.
What? This list is such a fucking joke. Dude.
This is why I just don't give much credence. And shout out to our guy Brent for saying the same thing. Can't take these lists serious, man.
No.
Mahomes at 4. These NFL players lost any credibility they had.
Bro, they have Saquon Barkley as the 86th best player. Saquon Barkley is easily a top 50 player in this league.
Arguably the best running back in football.
I mean, what
man.
are we
When
doing?
healthy, he arguably is the best running back in football. Him and Derrick Henry, and
Hey, DK Metcalf number 84. Just saying.
I mean, that's bewildering to me if he's making it that high, and you got Trent McDuffie, who's all pro.
Future chief DK Metcalf, guys, 84 overall.
Shit, I'll take it. I'll take it. Just don't trade Trent for him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Legarius is not on this list.
That's madness.
I'm not seeing him.
That's madness.
They got Justin Simmons on here. They got Brian Burns, who I like Brian Burns.
Brian Burns.
Yeah.
He, working on an elite.
They got Keenan Allen on here.
But not Trent McDuffie.
Not Trent McDuffie. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Bobby Wagner?
Bro, stop it. Where's he at? What number is he at? Where's Bobby Wagner?
You're not going to believe this. 59.
No way.
And I love Bobby. Bobby's one of my dudes.
What's hilarious is Bobby Wagner's on there at that spot, but the guy Legarius Sneed, who shut down the number one guy on this list, isn't even on the top 100. That is, I'm done with this list, bro.
I just can't even.
I just can't. It's giving. That list is giving.
It's giving inaccuracy.
God.
Oh my God, kids!
All right.
Yeah, we should just get to hold the cell right now. All right,
Yeah,
let's move
Jalen
on.
Ramsey on there, but yeah.
Who missed half the season too?
Yeah, John Harrison said, I commented on your post yesterday, Lance. Snead didn't make it, and Aaron Rodgers was at 92 and played 94 seconds of game time.
Exactly.
That is, it's a joke. This is a joke, man. Like, that's...
I didn't realize we were already in hold the cell. I really didn't realize
Bro,
we were already.
Might as well shut this. The show's over. That's
Yeah,
it.
show's over. Man. Fuck
That's all we
this.
need to do. All right, let's get back to these. Julia Gulio with another question. Deneric Prince is stamping his spot. How realistic is Steele? Yeah.
Probably not that realistic.
Probably
I would say that Deneric Prince is safe, just because
he's been getting a lot of reps from what I'm hearing.
Quite frankly, just because we know that they need him. I mean, that's how bad it is
They
right
need
now.
that depth.
Outside of Isaiah Pacheco, and in all seriousness, Clyde's dealing with the PTSD of his armed robbery he suffered a few years ago. He's still recovering from that, so they know that they're going to need as much help as they possibly can at the running back position. This is a position that, for whatever reason, the Chiefs haven't really put a lot of investment into, and I understand why to some degree, because we know that in most cases the running back position is a revolving door rather. So you don't usually have a lot of great running backs in the league just to go and pick from.
Right.
I also know that this is going to be an offense that I very much believe is going to be running through the air a lot this season. I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to become more of a pass threat. I think that you saw in training camp they've been kind of teasing it with that little wheel route that they love using back when Kareem Hunt was here. Yeah. I think they're going to start implementing that again with Isaiah Pacheco. Guys, I'm going to say this real quick, not to change the subject, but I'm still going to kind of stay on the subject. Isaiah Pacheco, I don't know how many more seasons he's going to have in the NFL.
At least full seasons.
Yeah, I don't know how many more he's going to have.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, mark this tape, 2024 is going to be his best season of his career. I really do believe Isaiah Pacheco is going to have like a 1,600 total yard season with like 13, 14 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a monster season this year. Biggest reason why is because, one, he's the only like real running back they have on this team right now. Two, what I was just saying about the wheel route thing, I jokingly said on Twitter, I said they went from the Pacheco down, I call that whenever they throw to Pacheco in the flats, they went from the Pacheco down to the Pacheco downtown, because like they're throwing it downtown to Pacheco, and if they add that to the offense, and Pacheco becomes more of an aerial threat, then I think you're going to see this offense is intentionally going to be running the ball through the air a lot more.
Yeah, you get him in space, man.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they're going to try to still run in certain instances, in certain cases, but because of the lack of guys on this team, and Steele, like I said, Steele, he could be a steal, but I just don't know if he's going to be a guy that makes this roster, because Clyde, I do believe, is going to make this roster. I don't think they're going to carry more than 3 running backs. I think Deneric Prince has got the inside advantage, but right now I'm not really impressed by this room outside of Isaiah Pacheco. So it's a really wait-and-see approach when it comes to what this room's going to become. But we know right now, without question, it's Isaiah Pacheco and a bunch of guys. I hate to say it that way, but that's just kind of the truth. So I think they're going to utilize 25-year-old Isaiah Pacheco to the fullest degree, because I'm not anticipating that Pacheco is going to be here for a second contract. And they got him for one more year after this year. So you're going to see some serious usage out of Isaiah Pacheco this year.
Agreed. Julio Gulia with the next question. Has Joshua Williams taken a step back, and who do you think gets that spot?
No, I don't think he's taking a step back. I think that certain guys, when they reach a certain level in their careers, I don't want to say they get comfortable, because that's the wrong word of saying it, but I think that they utilize training camp for different things. Because we're not looking at Joshua Williams in training camp to see, is he developing? Because we know that Joshua Williams is who he is. Like, I think we know who he is as a player. And I don't think that you're going to see like this huge jump or huge drop of Joshua Williams. I think he's a very middle tier cornerback. So what I think he's doing now is he's just trying to sharpen some of his skills. He's using certain scenarios and instances. And I think Spagnuolo is doing it on purpose, utilizing him in certain instances on the field to learn certain things, just become more of a wily veteran player. Because you got to remember, guys, some of these cornerbacks that are on this team, the majority of these, actually every single corner on this team is young. There's not one guy. I think the oldest cornerback they have is 27. It's Jalen Watson. And he's a, third-year player?
I mean, if anything, Joshua Williams has been the guy that's had the most experience.
Yeah, well, him and Jalen Watson.
Big moments.
Yeah, him and Jalen Watson have never they've never lost a playoff game.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like, these guys are 7-0 in their playoff careers with 2
pivotal
rings.
plays in those games, too.
Exactly. Yeah. They were the reason why the Chiefs won the AFC Championship in 2023.
Yeah.
With Joe Burrow when Steed went out and they balled out. Like Brian Cook, young safety, tip of the ball.
Joe Burrow was targeting him and he was making mistakes.
It wasn't Trent McDuffie. And no offense to Trent, it's just the truth.
Yeah,
Trent was over there playing against Jamar Chase. They're over here trying to throw to T. Higgins. These guys are picking him off.
Yep.
So my point is, I think these guys are veterans now, faster than a lot of other players. They're only year 3, but these are veterans. These dudes are played at almost a whole other season. So really, they're like in year 4 because of the amount of playoff games they played. They played 7 playoff games. That's half a season. I think that you're looking at them, they're utilizing training camp differently. If the Chiefs had like an early round exit a year ago, they've only won 1 Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, I think you would see more pressure on guys like Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson to try to become something they're not. But because they know that the way they play within the system, as Trevor and I were talking about, it's more about the system. It's more about how they play within the realm of the system. You're going to see these guys fit into their roles the way Spag sees fit. And that's why I'm not worried about it whatsoever. I think Joshua Williams is going to be just fine. And he's going to continue to play the way he plays. And he's going to give himself another contract somewhere else. And the Chiefs are going to continue that revolving door at cornerback.
Yeah, agreed. Our guy, Ruben DeCruz. Guys, what's your opinion on boxing? This is a random throw-in question. But yeah.
Hey, do we not suggest that or do we not ask for that?
You guys can ask whatever, man.
I don't know what the question is as far. Are you just asking about the sport? Because I love the sport. I'm a massive boxing fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't live in the golden era of boxing that our parents and grandparents lived in, when the majority of the best athletes in the world, or at least in America, were boxing and they were trying out these kinds of sports. I never decided I got to see Muhammad Ali box. I got to see Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson was never a great boxer. He was a great brawler. Hey, it's true. It's true. He was never a great boxer. He was always great at knocking. He was a knockout specialist. But when he had to actually box and go 7 to 10 rounds, he usually lost. That's how it goes. You saw him against Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, guys that were bigger, that could be tactical and slow and patient. They started beating his ass. That's just the nature. That's just what happened. So I think that Mike Tyson was fun. It was great time, but I think that you're seeing the evolution of boxing now, where you're seeing some of these guys become more tactical boxers. They're not a bunch of knockout artists anymore. Look at Canelo, like the prize fighter of the prize fighters. Such a smart dude. He'll win the first couple of rounds. Like, dude, does he even care? Does he care? But all he's doing is studying his opponent. And then by round 6, 7, he's dodging everything. He knows what's coming, and then he starts picking them apart. That's I think that boxers are becoming more cerebral in today's boxing world. I think there could be a renaissance because you're starting to see more talent in the boxing realm. And we know there's a massive following still in boxing, especially in the Hispanic, Black, and Latino world. You're seeing a lot of following. I think that you're going to start seeing more white people start watching boxing again, because when Mike Tyson was knocking everybody out, everybody showed up to the fucking party.
Irish and Russian.
Yes.
Still a lot of.
I want to see white Americans start getting more involved again, man, because I think that's what we need to see. We need to see everybody start getting back into boxing. I'm a personal fan of it. I will be honest with you, though. I grew up in an era where MMA became more of a prevalent thing, where UFC kind of took over the vision of it all.
Yeah.
I'm a big UFC fan. Trevor's a big UFC fan. We watch every card. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a better brand of fighting. I think it's a better brand of the art of fighting, because there's more to it.
It's modern day gladiators.
Yeah,
it's melee, true melee.
True, yeah, exactly. You're fighting with your whole body. No offense to boxers. Boxing is great. Trevor and I will go to our brother Jared's place and we'll watch boxing sometimes. We love it. It's not like it's a hateful sport.
And I think it's the variance of outcomes too in the MMA realm. I think because there's so many different ways different outcomes can come to pass. There could be a decision, obviously. There could be a knockout by standing up. There could be a submission. There could be there can be wild disqualifications. There's so many different ways to win and lose in MMA than there is in boxing. But as far as the art of boxing, it's one of the most beautiful art forms of hand-to-hand combat. I mean, it's as far as strategy and endurance and the structure of your shoulders and legs and how these guys really build themselves to become these specimens. It's a true art form, and I have nothing but respect for the sport of boxing. The credibility and the integrity of the sport is a whole different conversation, if I'm being honest. A lot of funny money in boxing, if I'm being real, and it's been that way for a long time, obviously. And that's one thing that kind of turns me off about boxing. But as far as the actual sport itself and the art form that it is, love it. I love watching it. Anytime it's on, I'll stop and watch it. And that's any kind of really, honestly, hand-to-hand combat or any kind of combat like that. I'll watch wrestling, like real wrestling. I'll watch any of that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I have nothing but love and respect for the art of boxing. But I'm definitely more of an MMA guy. So that's where we're on that. Next question from Bender B. Rodriguez. Should Tony be running back and special teams only?
No and no. Sorry, Tone. Or sorry, who has the question?
Bender B. Rodriguez. I'm pretty sure it's new to the chat. It's on Facebook. So
if that is the case, Bender, thank you for being here. We really do appreciate you, man. Thank you for being a part of the show. Continue to give us the questions, whatever you got. We love that you're a part of this thing, man. Stick with us. But to answer your question candidly and efficiently, no on both accounts, man. I don't see any purpose for Kadarius Toney on this roster. The moment the Chiefs signed Mecole Hardman back, I knew that Kadarius Toney's days were numbered. They brought him in here initially last season to be the wide receiver one. They said so themselves. Well, 2 years ago, rather. They brought him halfway through the year, and then they promoted him as the next guy. That he's going to take over this offense and be the heavy hitting wide receiver, the weapon. They called him a star. And he had one of the worst seasons I think I've ever seen a wide receiver have that was touted to be a star. So I think the team now is trying to figure out a way to take this L as adequately as they can. Because they gave up, a third-round pick for this dude. They invested in him, and they invested a second-round pick in Sky Moore, and neither guy has transitioned and turned into anything close to what they were expecting. Running back position, the reason why I'm so adamantly against this idea, and I hate the fact that the Chiefs even started running him at running back at training camp, is it's just like when Joe Thuney filled in for not only just Orlando Brown, but for Lucas Niang in that Bengals game at left tackle, that people started to think, hey, maybe we just start playing Joe Thuney at left tackle. Joe Thuney was not a left tackle. That's why it took 2 players to go down for Joe Thuney to move from left guard to left tackle, because that's not his natural position. And when you talk about Kadarius Toney as a running back, we're talking about Trevor, right now. Who would you say is the most injury-prone player on this team?
Kadarius Toney.
What's the hardest position to stay healthy at on an NFL roster?
Running back.
Why in the hell would you put the most injury-prone player on your team at the hardest position to stay healthy at?
When he's already accumulating injuries in training camp, so, I mean, that's...
Exactly. And in special teams...
I don't like it.
Do you guys remember last year before training camp even started, how did Kadarius Toney tear his MCL? He was getting punt returns. He was inbounding punt returns.
Yeah.
His body's not built for this league. He's not mentally prepared to take on any type of responsibility in this league. He is a bust. Period, point blank. And Kadarius Toney is a guy that, in my opinion, in 2 weeks from now, will not be on this roster. I think very much so the Chiefs are going to either cut him or trade him for a conditional 6th, 7th round pick in 2025 or 2026. I very much believe that. So that not to shit on the question here, brother, but I just, unless somebody could show me footage of anything other than that Super Bowl return that gives me any reason to believe that this dude is going to be anything for this team, I have no reason to believe that he's going to turn the tide, because it all starts with the brain. It all starts with your mentality. And if there's one thing we know about Kadarius Toney, is that he's very much about him. And we heard this in his Instagram stories when he accused, for some reason, people don't talk about it enough, Trevor, but this man literally accused the Chiefs of lying about his injuries. Is that not something that, why is that a bigger story? I don't understand. This dude's literally saying the Chiefs are lying about him. That's a big accusation, man.
Yeah.
And then saying AI took over his Instagram stories. And to me, he's been far more trouble than he has been a help. And I'm really very much looking forward to the day that he's no longer a Chief.
Don't blame me for feeling that way. Next question from KL368. What's the one surprise in the rotation for the first preseason game that's going to make people go, huh? I wasn't expecting that. 2 on offense and defense.
I don't know if there's going to be a lot of surprises.
I feel like we're pretty confident who's going to do what.
I think
in the preseason, there's not a lot of surprises in the preseason. Like it's not real.
Well, and I'm not trying to dance around this question.
Sure.
I will give you at least one though. The reason why I'm not going to try to answer the question is because of what I've already been saying about how I believe this team already knows what their roster is. That's why I don't think you're going to see a lot of shock or a lot of. But I will say, Trevor, I do think that you could see a Curtis Jacobs at linebacker earlier in preseason games because I actually think Curtis Jacobs might make this roster.
I mean, I would hope. Yeah.
Dude.
The linebackers are, I mean, there's a lot of room for guys to make this the depth.
Yeah, and I do think this team has been paying attention to his leadership qualities too. I don't know if you noticed.
Possible green dot kind of guy.
I don't know if you knew this, but they've been paying attention to training camp. Like who's been the first on the field? It's Curtis Jacobs. Like, there's something to that.
I hear that about Leo Chenal, too.
Yes, when a rookie, when an undrafted rookie is your first guy on the field every morning, there's something to that, man.
That's what you get. You got to do that.
And he's been making plays. Like, he's been making plays on the one-on-one drills, like, to pass protection. He's going and he's strong. He's like a little bull. Like, I was big on Curtis Jacobs a couple months ago. I'm even bigger on him now. I think that if there's a shock for preseason games, watch for Curtis Jacobs to see how much that might be one of those few players. The Chiefs are like, all right, let's let him play sometime in preseason, and if he plays well, maybe he will make this roster. Because like I said 95% of the roster, not 100%. He might be one of those guys like, well, let's still pay attention because linebacker is a place the Chiefs are pretty decently deep at.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
So maybe Curtis Jacobs is a guy that's fringe. But if they're like, hey, man, Bolton's got injury concerns. He's already hurt again. He'll be fine, though, for regular season, but he has a history of injuries. Drew Tranquill, reliable guy, but we have him already all over the field. We don't want to spread him too thin. We might want to keep Curtis Jacobs. And if he plays well and he gets a lot of opportunities to do so and well the crowd and get some notoriety amongst the fan base, they might be pressured into taking him. And then another position, still on the defensive side of things, I will say watch cornerback.
Yeah.
Watch cornerback.
Who's getting the most reps.
Yes. Because I don't think Josh Williams and Jalen Watson will be playing a ton but watch Chamari Connor where he's playing. See where they're positioning him. See where Chamari Connor's playing. See where some of the young bucks are playing, some of the rookie guys, the kid out of Tennessee. See where he's playing. See how much he is playing. So Kamal Hadden. See where Kamal Hadden's playing. See where he, how much he's playing.
Yeah.
How much he's developed. Because I haven't heard a ton from him out of camp.
I think he could be that maybe the possible McDuffie backup because he's pretty good in the slot.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be looking at. Who's
short arms?
Who's playing the slot?
Yeah. He's tall. He's a lot taller than McDuffie. I think he's like 6'1".
He's undersized in general.
Yeah, he's like my height. He's like 5'9".
He's small.
But Kamal Hadden's like 6'1", but he's got short arms. So maybe he will play a little bit of that slot. Maybe we'll play some nickel, maybe a little bit further back as like an extended safety at times. Sure. So those are the positions I would say watch for preseason. If I'm
running back too.
I was gonna say if you want to throw in see who's
got some burst.
If Deneric Prince is hitting the A gap, B gaps well, if Steele's out there, making some plays, but I think overall the running back room is set. So I'm not trying to give too much credence to Steele. Because I think Deneric Prince is going to probably make this roster. I think he's the better player.
Yeah.
And we know that Clyde and Pacheco are going to make this team as well. So those are just a couple things I would say watch out for.
Yeah, there's nothing honestly that's going to make me go or I wasn't expecting that. But I will say something that I'm looking forward to or I'm hoping we can see is Justin Ross. Get out there and get some reps and see if Justin Ross looks good. See if he can go out there and run some crisp routes and catch some high pointed balls, possibly some contested catches, maybe a touchdown. See what he's got after the catch. See what he's kind of made of because we just haven't. It's been such a tease. You know what I mean? I really want to see him get out there and do something. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see what the running backs look like, see that depth, and then obviously, the corners and the DBs, see what they do with that rotation of guys. So we got a lot of bodies to go through over there. So I think I'm on the same page with you there. So next guy, Micah Hayes. What's up, guys? Broncos may be cutting running back 𝚂𝙾𝙀 because they are deep at running back. He's the perfect fit. He's the perfect third down running back we need. He can block and catch. Thoughts?
I'm open to it. 𝚂𝙾𝙳 is a guy that he finds himself on a roster all the time because he's a big physical running back.
Yeah, I like him.
Hell of a beard too, by the way, my dad. the 𝚂𝙭family they're like physical freaks, dude. I think one of their other brothers is like a deadlift champion or something like that. Excuse me.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he's like
the Jones family, the Bones Jones.
Yeah, and then like the St. Brown family, like there's some of these families are genetic freaks, and I know the 𝚂𝙭 family are genetic freaks.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to it. I think 𝚂𝙭 though was like 31, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit older running back. I don't know if the Chiefs are big into that. So it's going to really determine. I think it's going to really come down to whether they think that he would be a better asset than Deneric Prince, which from the on paper he probably would be. But you know how the Chiefs are, man. Like they trust their guys. They've invested. Yeah, they've invested in their. So I think the only way that they would go and get 𝚂𝙗 is if there was an injury. Yeah. I think if Clyde was saying, "Hey guys, I need time away from football. This PTSD is kicking my ass. I'm going to go into therapy," or whatever the case is. In all seriousness, if there was something like that to happen, then I could see that door open up for a 𝚂𝙗 𝚂𝙭. But I outside of that, guys, I think the roster for the most part is set. I think the only true addition the Chiefs would make on the offensive side of things is that there was some surprise cut for a wide receiver they've always been big on.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There was some young, fast receiver that Brett Veach has a crush on, and he got cut because of some fight in the locker room or something. You would see that addition. Outside of that, I think this team's set.
So we just got some breaking news. Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins have agreed on a restructured contract worth $90 million over the next 3 seasons. That includes $65 million guaranteed per Adam Schefter.
It's been a good 24 hours for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Got the number 1 player on the NFL top 100.
And that helps the team, I think, too. I mean, that kind of construction, that way they can lock him in and focus on other things as well. I mean, Tyreek's got the bag, man.
Who reported it, by the way?
This would come with Adam Schefter.
Schefter, okay.
Yeah. You can't buy jewelry, though. You got to earn that. You got to earn the jewelry. You can't buy it.
Oh, man.
I mean, hey, every time I watch Tyreek, you know what I always say?
I miss him.
Miss you.
Yep.
I'm forever going to miss that guy in this offense, man. That was something special. That was an all-time roster construction, man. That guy's just different.
I did bring up, I don't know,
in a lot of ways.
I didn't bring up on the show, Trevor, and I'm gonna tweet this real quick for Tyreek because he deserves that money.
Of course he does. He's the deadliest, outside of maybe McCaffrey. He's the deadliest weapon in football, man. He's an all-time weapon for sure. The guy is different in a lot of positive ways and negative ways. But yeah,
I ran this poll. I was gonna tell you about it because I still thought there was an affinity for Tyreek Hill in Kansas City.
Oh no,
they're
not like us.
Boy, they're not like us.
They're not like us, bro.
So I ran this poll. Where's it at? Damn, oh, here it is. And I've asked this question before, but I always like to ask it like every few months. Have the Chiefs paid Tyreek Hill what he was demanding instead of trading him? Do you think the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls in 2022 and 2023? Almost 400 votes. 79% said no.
What? Guys.
79%.
Oh, you guys think he's a negative on this offense? What are we talking about here, man? If we had Tyreek, we probably would have won those easier, if I'm being honest.
I mean, the one case I give people is when they say, like, well, you added 5 players to the roster, and 5 of those guys have all been...
Sure, I get that, yeah.
Plus
the addition by subtraction there, I get it. But Tyreek is such a dominant... I don't know. That duo with him and Kelsey out there catching balls is just something special, man. And the only time that they didn't really win it was, Pat had a meltdown second half against Cincy, and that Bucs Super Bowl was just unfair in a lot of ways. I mean, our offensive line was just decimated, and it had nothing to do with Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill's performances. They were doing everything they could to, that's just, Pat was running for his life. So other than that, I fully believe we would be back-to-back champs if Tyreek Hill was still here. I still fully believe he's that dynamic.
And that's kind of where I'm at on it all, because of the fact that we know, Trevor, that, like you said, this team is like 2-3 plays away from 6 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Like, do people realize that? Like how close the Chiefs have been to having a 6-beat?
Yeah.
Like,
starting from 2019, we were there.
D Ford lining up off sides kept them from a Super Bowl that I believe they would have beaten the Rams.
At least make an appearance every year. We would have been in the Super Bowl at least every year. Like we're
impressed by what the Chiefs have been doing.
Yeah.
Imagine what would have happened if some of those things would if Eric Fisher was just healthy in the 2020 Super Bowl, Chiefs win that game.
Right.
Like they win the game.
Yeah, it's definitely much more competitive. And Pat's not running for his life. He's not running, 9 miles worth of steps in that game like he did. But yeah,
biggest and only real meltdown of Patrick Mahomes' career against the Bengals.
Yeah.
They're in the Super Bowl again.
That was the moment he was human there. Sorry about that. It was rough. But yeah. Last question though from our guy Micah Hayes, and which is a solid question. We didn't even talk about this guy yet. Should Butker be in the top 100? Absolutely.
Yes, because Justin Tucker was.
Yeah.
If Justin Tucker's in the top 100, so should Harrison Butker.
Bro, the last couple of postseason runs, Butker's been the most clutch kicker in NFL history. The guy's made some of the biggest kicks in NFL history in the last 2 postseasons.
I think outside of Adam Vinatieri, there has been no one's kicked more.
And we're talking 50 plus, 58 plus.
Yeah.
And massive kicks, have to have them kicks, and the dude's knocking them through, bro. Like Butker is the dude, man. He's the best kicker in football. Bro.
I agree. Look, anybody can disagree with what Butker has to say on his personal side. I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
I do, but not in the context of football.
Sure.
When it comes to football, there's not a single kicker in this league I'd rather have.
No.
And he should be in the top 100. And quite frankly, I don't know why the Chiefs haven't extended him already.
It'll get done.
Yeah, it'll get done. Yeah. He just turned 29 years old. Yeah. Like this dude could kick he's in his 40s. I think that Harrison Butker is right now. If I had to pick one kicker, it's Harrison Butker without question.
Yeah,
he's had his issues with PATs. We've addressed it on the show throughout the years. Yep. He has since fixed that, and I believe that Harrison Butker right now is the most clutch, most reliable kicker. And when it comes to kicking, what is the one thing you need more than anything? To be big in big moments. If you can be big in big moments, you're gonna get the big bucks, and you're gonna be on a roster that is gonna be a Super Bowl winner. That's why if you look at some of the best kickers of all time, they always played for teams that could win Super Bowls or did win Super Bowls.
Yeah,
they didn't play on bad teams for a long time. They would go to teams that these teams would pay them because they knew when the moment matters most, that guy would shine bright, and that's what Harrison Butker has become. He's become one of the historically best kickers ever. And I think right now he's the best outside. I think he is better than Justin Tucker. I think Justin Tucker's got a bigger personality.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit more likable.
And he's been doing this for a little bit longer, obviously. And but I think Butker, what he's done in more impactful moments too. He's what he's done in his resume in the postseason already it speaks for itself,
right,
bro. Those matter when you're talking about rankings. So I think he's the guy. That's it though, man. That's it for the questions.
Awesome speaking, guys. We very much appreciate whenever you guys chime in with your questions, your takes, your comments, your concerns. Whatever it is you guys like to talk about, we give you guys that platform, that opportunity, because that is what we're here to do, because we're just nice guys like that. We appreciate every single time you guys jump in. I hope you guys do that and tell your friends about us. We tell you at the top of every single show. We tell you at the bottom of every single show. Go to youtube.com, hit the Spoken Podcast, subscribe, like, notify, share, all those fun things. Very much appreciate when you guys hit all those buttons, but also get in the live chat because we would very much love to hear from you guys while we're doing the show. It's a lot more easier for us to communicate with you while we're on the show. We can pay attention to what you guys are saying, what your guys' questions are. But if you can't make it during a live show, that's okay. The comment box stays open 24/7, baby. So you guys can get in there when you're watching the show, whatever time you are, and comment and get on YouTube. Help us grow this thing on YouTube. We're very much trying to grow this thing on YouTube, so we very much need your help. We very much love to have your help. We very much appreciate your help. Absolutely. Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called?
Hold this L.
Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
Tennessee Titans star defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons had a zesty exchange with the radio host during the team's practice session on Tuesday.
Ooh.
Titans radio host Buck Rising, I think it's Rising, and his co-host Lucas Panzinka set up shop and did a live radio from team practice today. This was I think a couple days ago at this point. As they were preparing to interview cornerback Roger McCreary, Jeffrey Simmons came over and exchanged some words with Rising. The video starts with Rising asking Simmons if he'd like to sit down and converse. As the former tries to begin his interview with McCreary, an angry Simmons comes over and says, "You do a lot of talking on social media, pussy." As Rising tries to proceed with McCreary interview, Simmons continues to the verbal exchange. Finally, Rising issues one last chance for them to have a conversation before moving on to talk to McCreary. "Jeff, if you want to sit down and talk about this, we can do this," Rising said. I'm talking to you right now. "Jeff, we tried to talk to you last week I'm being rude to Roger. We'll deal with you later. There's a video. It's not the best audio, so that's why I didn't want to play it. I kind of want to just read the text here. Listen, I have my likes and dislikes on a lot of radio personalities, and TV hosts and talking heads, so on and so forth. But this is their job. This is what they do. This is what they've studied. A lot of these guys went through school for this stuff and did their time and were, even worked pro bono, I'm sure, at times at certain stations to get a chance to get a paid gig. And a lot of these guys do work hard. But like I said, I have my love-hate with certain, even local people around here sometimes. There's certain people that I like and dislike, but that's the nature of the beast. Apparently there was the host there, Ryzen. He had a tweet during he was being critical of Simmons, and we know Jeffrey Simmons can be a hot-headed guy, so on and so forth. That's fine, but you're not void. You're not exempt of criticism. And everyone should be able to formulate their own opinion, especially someone who is a voice for that community of said team. Rising's we had one tweet a few days ago on the 30th. Simmons just swung at Latham after some pushing and shoving. Ref said 98 would have been tossed in a game. He's back in for the next two and immediately starts a brawl. Sloppy Simmons needs to lock the F in, being critical of Simmons there. So I'm sure that's what Jeffrey Simmons is referring to in the exchange, the heated exchange here when they were there doing their live show at the camp. I take issue with this because Jeffrey Simmons obviously is a veteran in this league, a dominant player and a solid player, especially for that defense with the Titans. He's wreaked havoc even against the Chiefs in a lot of games. But you're not like I said, you're not exempt from criticism, and it shouldn't really matter who it is from the source, especially if you're going on Twitter. And Lance, this is very personal to you. If you've been critical of certain players and they've come back at you and jaw jabbed a little bit, and some are mature about it, some are not. Some guys just can't take the heat, and it definitely seems that Jeffrey Simmons is one of these guys that just can't. And that was honestly very mild criticism. That wasn't much at all, if we're being honest. You go on X or Twitter and you'll see a whole plethora of all kinds of terrible things being said about certain players, right? So that was nothing, especially for a guy that's his job, is to be critical and praiseworthy at certain moments for certain players. So for the fact that Jeffrey Simmons, was calling this man a pussy in front of everyone, challenging this man's manhood in front of everybody live on the radio, might I add, while they're getting ready to interview one of their young corners who's an upcoming stud, McCreary, who's a stud. It's just a bad look for him as a man, honestly, in my personal opinion, and as a player who plays in the biggest sport in the world as far as marketability. The NFL is king. This is how you're gonna brand yourself, not being able to take criticism and being in the heat of the moment and letting that get the best of you. I want to see more. I want to see better out of these kind of guys. Right? Be able to take criticism. If you want to have a conversation, he obviously didn't want to, because he could have sat down there and squashed that beef right then and there. And he could feel right in his own right. But if he wanted to prove that, he could have done that. But I don't think he wanted to articulate his thoughts outside of saying pussy out loud a few times. Good for him. But Jeffrey Simmons is going to have to do me a solid favor here and hold this L.
I will say, just to add to that, it's really easy to be a player, especially of Jeffrey Simmons' size and magnitude, to act like that to a reporter.
It was passive aggressive too, which I hate that.
It gets clumped up a lot, like with the Jerry Rice situation with our guys Clint and Noah.
Right.
Like they act that way. The player will act that way, or the celebrity will act that way because they know the reporter's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and they got the hold me back crew, everybody around. Yeah.
So Jeffrey, to me, that people think that's him like confronting. That's being a coward.
Yeah, it's
honestly.
passive aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to do that in front of everybody because no one's going to let this happen.
And you watch the video, Rising. He's like, bro, if you want to have a conversation, come sit down right now. He's inviting him to have a conversation, very level headed. He's not yelling back at him.
That's because Rising has a clear conscience.
Sure.
Just like if this was to happen to me about anything about anybody, right, I would have a clear conscience because I know that everything I say on Twitter or say in person, it is with my sincerity. It is not something that is to be sensationalized or to just be a hot take just to get attention. If I'm saying it, it's because I truly mean it. So I'm not going to regret that. I'm not going to regret what I'm saying, especially if the criticism is correct, if it's accurate, if it depicts anything that you actually deal with as a player. And that is something that Jeffrey Simmons, that's why Jeffrey Simmons got mad.
Yeah.
Because he knows it's true.
Yeah.
And if he didn't care about the reporter or what was said about from that reporter, he would never say anything in response. But because he got that emotionally invested in it, that tells you that it hurt him, and he was looking to get a pound of flesh out of it. Somebody that has made a career out of trying to get a pound of flesh out of LeBron James. Now Patrick Mahomes is now at a place and in a standstill of what is next for his career. 72-year-old Skip Bayless put out a tweet yesterday after Undisputed, and we have that tweet right here. It says, "Today was my last show on Undisputed. I'm leaving FS1. I've been planning to pursue other opportunities for several months. I've had a great 8-year run with a lot of great people at Fox, but now I'm excited for what's coming up. Stay tuned." End quote. Then, Fox Sports statement. They made one, FS1 made a statement out there as well. We'll put that up there. They said, "The Fox Sports family thanks Skip Bayless for his outstanding contributions at FS1. As a founding member of the show Undisputed and known as the godfather of sports debate, Skip has been a cornerstone of our network and a driving force in sports commentary. His passion, insight, and distinctive voice have entertained audiences and captivated sports fans throughout the years. We wish Skip continued success in his future endeavors." I actually decided, because I heard the news before the show was over on Undisputed, that this was going to be his last show. We knew that his last show was coming up, but we didn't know the specific date. And then all of a sudden we got reports that it was going to be his last show during the show. So I decided to watch the last 30 minutes of it to see if they would, make a mention of it or, do a farewell for him. No, there was nothing. He just acted like it was another show. He had Lil Wayne on there, so it was terrible. It was just an absolute abysmal 30 minutes of sports talk, if you want to call it that. And, of course, they were talking about LeBron James not being able to carry the USA team, even though that's literally what he's doing. All this just nonstop hyperbolic bullshit is very on brand for Skip Bayless. So, of course, that was his last segment of his 8-year tenure with FS1. The biggest reason why he's getting this L is because of the fact that he managed to burn bridges. And I confidently say burn bridges with ESPN and FS1, because one, if he was such a valued commodity, if he was still such a humongous figure that you can't pass upon, why would FS1 let him walk when FS1 is still second to ESPN? And if he was still the godfather of sports debate, don't you think ESPN would be bringing him back to some capacity? Even at his advanced age, this guy stays in shape, he's determined, he's obsessed with his career, with his job, and neither network want anything to do with him. So anything that's coming up after this is going to be so minute, it's not even going to matter. Because there's no other network out there that compares to any of those two. Those two are the top dogs by far. So unless ESPN changes their mind, I don't see how Skip Bayless ever retains anything close to the relevance he's had. And even to that, if you've looked at his ratings with Undisputed since Shannon Sharpe has left, it has been abysmal at best. And I love the fact, Trevor, and I'm not trying to dance on someone's grave here, but Skip Bayless deserves this because this is what he's built his career upon. Of course. He has built his career upon shaming and shitting on other great human beings that have accomplished things he never could actually accomplish. It's one thing to be critical and concise and give an honest take on somebody, but when you've made a living demonizing players who have done nothing but excel in their careers, I don't feel bad for you when your career is now done. And Skip Bayless may continue to talk sports somewhere, but his career is done when it comes to being a relevant sports figure. Yes, you may see him as a meme here and there. Yes, you may get a clip of him here or there in the near future, wherever he ends up going. But this dude, as far as being at Stephen A. Smith's level, being at Nick Wright's level, being at any of these top dogs' level, is over. He's done. He will never, ever be what we knew him to be. His shtick is done. It's old like he is, and he is now a part of the L column here at the Spoken Podcast for another week. So for Skip Bayless, this is probably the final time we ever talk about him on the show.
Hopefully.
Do me a solid, my brother, and hold this L. But with this L comes a bright light. Because according to Michael McCarthy, we'll pull this tweet up here, Trevor, if we could. According to Michael McCarthy from Fox Sports, with Skip Bayless exiting FS1, network is building around Nick Wright, plus First Things First, as the future of weekday studio lineup. I also have intel of Chicago radio personality who could land his own TV show, which was, and he says, read my column. Obviously, he wants you to click on the comments, but it's actually Danny Parkins, who has been making some spots here and there on both First Things First and Colin Cowherd. He actually hosted The Herd a couple of weeks ago, did a fantastic job.
Yeah, he's locally loved around here too, so it's cool to see him getting his chance.
I've always felt that Danny was more on the pretentious side, but I've never held that against him.
Sure.
I've always loved the fact that this dude is well studied and well prepared, and he always gives a very articulate take, even if I disagree with him. He's still on the Michael Jordan's the GOAT thing, and I don't, he's a Chicagoan, so whatever. But to see the next generation excites me vehemently.
Especially our local Midwest guys.
Yeah. They started here, baby, in Kansas City. Nick's a native of Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like I said, Danny was a Chicagoan. They both went to Syracuse and got their diplomas, degrees. And now they are going to be headlining FS1 together. If that ain't the coolest thing,
cool,
man. And First Things First, in my opinion,
best sports show.
It's the best sports show. Yeah. I know that First Take still kills it because Stephen A, to his degree, and to his credit, is incredible at what he does.
Yeah.
He gets crowds. But I think it's so Stephen A top heavy at ESPN now that it's almost getting a little like overdone. Where FS1 still has Colin Cowherd, and they have Chris Broussard, and they have Kevin Wilds, and they're about to get Danny Parkins.
Get my guy Max.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the rumor could be they get Kellerman as well. Like,
hell yeah.
This stuff happens over at FS1, man. You might start to see a little bit of a shift because Kellerman, I think he's one of the best.
One of the best talkers out there.
He's been chilling because of the fact that he's got that paycheck from ESPN still. But I would love FS1 to go and snag him, and then you would have a powerhouse of Nick Wright, of Kevin Wiles, Brew, Colin Cowherd, obviously, who's a legend in his own right.
I would love to see them bring in like Bomani Jones too, or something like that.
I mean,
dude.
I think he's
connections with Nick too.
He's with HBO. I want to.
He has that. He had that show. I don't know if it's still going though.
Yeah,
Bomani's. I love Bomani too. That'd be
right.
Fun he has some terrible takes sometimes, but
there's some independent guys out there that they may not be able to buy. Obviously Dan Patrick, I think with Bleacher Report or something like that. Dan Lebitard, he's had connections with ESPN throughout the years, but now he's with I think DraftKings or something like that. So maybe Skip does something like that, and then
sure
he goes and does something like that. But to see an entire network being built around a guy that I have no similarities to stylistically, we're very different in our approaches, but the guy that I've always admired the most above everybody, the guy that I went to for advice when I was a 20-year-old kid wanting to do the same thing, to see that now happen for him, oh, dude, It warms my heart, and it's another W for Kansas City. It's a W for FS1, but it is a W for the guy that I believe is the best in this business, and that is Nick Wright.
It's a W for sports consumers too, man.
Yeah, I know people don't like him because he's always stating facts about LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes, but you're just going to get used to that, guys, because Nick just turned 39 years old, and he's going nowhere. He's going nowhere really quick except upward, and I am so fucking proud of him. I'm so fucking proud of Danny Parkins. To know these are two guys that started at 610 Sports Radio in Kansas City and are now up there at the national level, leading the charge, leading the way, taking on First Take. That is just, it's just music to my ears, man. So massive W to FS1, massive W to First Things First, massive W to my guy Nick Wright and Danny Parkins. I am so freaking happy for you guys, man. So I felt the best way to end this show was to talk about that. And to really, really just, give a nice big congratulatory to those guys for being the ones that are going to not only take on the next generation, but hopefully they can kind of steer it back to where it belongs when it comes to sports talk. Where it's not just about hot takes anymore. It's about, trying to get the clicks and, finding a way to demonize a player and tear them down. Or when a player is dealing with depression, you try to make it sound like, well, I don't want that as my quarterback. Or fat shaming a head coach. Or
good debate.
Talking shit on women on your shows, where all the women in your network can't stand you. Hopefully it gets back to the place where it's about respect. It's about treating everybody the same, matching energies, because to that point, there's going to be some dickheads out there that, come at Nick Wright and things like that, and he'll give it right back. That's how it goes. That's the nature of the business. But I want honest and authentic sports talk again. And Nick's been leading that way for a long time now, and now he gets to be the guy. Him, Colin Cowherd, guys like that. I really respect. I'm Colin and I disrespect I disagree with about 80% of what Colin says, but I know that it's genuinely what he believes.
His brand is his brand, bro.
Yeah, he's so good at breaking things down, using analogies, things of that nature. That's why Colin's one of my favorites as well. And the fact that he's kind of helped Nick grow into who he is, and to see their show just spike up, I couldn't be happy for these dudes, man. And I would love to see that for us here independently in our show, but I love celebrating victories for other people as well, and we're going to continue to celebrate this victory. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of First Things First. That's, like Trevor said, best show in sports television.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. I think it's only going to continue to get better from here. So shout out to those guys. W's to them. Appreciate Nick for giving me the advice he gave me all those years ago. I will never forget it, and we'll hold that dearly, man. So thank you guys for listening to me go on and on and on about that one thing for about 12 minutes. But that's how we're into the show. The chat was great today. You guys are great today. Again, go to YouTube real quick if you guys could. It takes 20 seconds, and just hit subscribe, hit notify, hit share, hit all that stuff. Tell your friends. Let everybody know where they can find us every single Saturday at 11 a.m. We're about to kick things back up. We're going to start having guests on again. I hope you guys are ready for that. We've got some really big guests lined up. I hope you guys are ready for that, because I know I am, because I talk way too damn much, and we need to get some people on here with a different perspective. Maybe let Trevor talk a little bit more. I don't know, man. I don't know if Trevor's ready for that or not. But regardless, it's always fun to do this. We had a rough start to today, but we rallied. We got this thing through. We had a great time, ended up having fun, as we always do, because that's what this is about. If we're not having fun, what the hell are we doing? We got to continue to have fun, and you guys make this fun. So for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts all this together on the back end of things, I am Lance Twidwell, the Spoken Podcast. Episode 278 is done, finished, and finito. And so we're back here in 1 week's time to talk about, I don't know, whatever the hell we want to talk about. Sports world. It's a free world. It's a free country. We do whatever we want to do. Until then, we out of this bitch.
Later.